defeated every god in existence, and then had the audacity to challenge Buddha to a contest. What happened next? The most epic ego-shattering moment in all of mythology, where infinite power met infinite wisdom, and the outcome will completely change how you see every challenge, every setback, and every moment you thought you were in control. Because here's the twist, we're all the Monkey King. We're all trying to escape Buddha's palm through side hustles, thinking we found some secret everyone else missed. But maybe, just maybe, we never left that palm at all. Ready to have your mind blown? This story comes from Journey to the West, one of the greatest adventure novels ever written during the Ming Dynasty. Now, mind blown? This story comes from Journey to the West, one of the greatest adventure novels ever written during the Ming Dynasty. Now, this isn't literal Buddhist scripture. It's wisdom wrapped in adventure, like Marvel movies with a deeper meaning. These themes about pride and humility, they're older than Buddhism itself. Every culture has stories about the fall that follows arrogance. Sun Wukong inspired everything from Dragon Ball to Marvel's Monkey King comics. He's basically the ultimate anime protagonist, if that protagonist had absolutely zero chill and an ego the size of the universe. We're talking about someone who learned 72 different transformations, can travel 34,000 miles in a single jump, carries a staff that weighs 17,500 pounds, but shrinks to fit behind his ear, and made himself immortal. Not just regular immortal, 7 different types of immortality stacked on top of each other, but unlimited power, plus 0 wisdom. That's a recipe for divine disaster. So how does someone who literally cannot be killed, who defeated heaven itself, meet his match? And what does this have to do with that time you thought you'd figured everything out? You're about to find out, and once you see it, you'll never look at your own limitations the same way again. So who exactly is this Monkey King? And how does someone go from being just another monkey to literally making the gods themselves shake in their boots? Sun Wukong starts as a regular monkey on a mountain, but this guy has ambition that would make every entrepreneur jealous. He looks at his simple monkey life and thinks, nah, this isn't enough. I want immortality. So he finds a Taoist master and learns the secrets of transformation magic and eternal life. But one type of immortality isn't enough for his ego. This guy collects different forms of eternal life, like they're going out of style. Immortal through meditation, check. Immortal from eating magical peaches, check. Immortal by drinking divine elixir, check. He even erases his name from the Book of Death. At some point, even death gave up trying. Then he gets his hands on a legendary staff that weighs 17,500 pounds but responds to his thoughts. It can grow to support the heavens or shrink to fit behind his ear. And that's when unlimited power meets 0 wisdom. Sun Wukong marches into heaven, demands respect, gets insulted with the lowest job possible, and declares war on the entire celestial realm. One monkey versus 100,000 heavenly warriors, and he wins. Actually laughing while dismantling the most powerful army in existence. Sound familiar? This is every success story gone wrong. Talent plus opportunity minus wisdom equals chaos. And Sun Wukong? He was about to learn that the universe keeps score differently than he thought. He broke heaven. So what happens when heaven breaks back? Picture this scene. The Jade Emperor, ruler of the entire universe, sitting on his throne, probably stress-eating celestial snacks, trying to figure out how to deal with one incredibly powerful monkey who just made his entire army look like weekend warriors. This isn't just embarrassing, this is a cosmic crisis. Because if one monkey can waltz into heaven, beat up all the gods, and declare himself great sage equal to heaven, what does that say about divine authority? They tried everything. More troops? Sun Wukong just cloned himself and fought entire battalions at once, while probably making monkey jokes the whole time. Magical weapons? The monkey laughed and turned his staff into whatever he needed to counter them. They even tried negotiation. Okay, fine. You can have a higher rank. But ego is never satisfied. Give it an inch, it demands the whole universe. And that's when the Jade Emperor realizes something terrifying. This isn't a problem you can solve with more power. Because when someone has collected every possible advantage, when they've made themselves literally unkillable, traditional force becomes useless. So the Jade Emperor does something no supreme ruler ever wants to do. He admits he's completely out of his league. He makes the call that changes everything. He calls Buddha, not for more power, not for bigger weapons, but for wisdom. Because sometimes the biggest problems require a completely different approach. And Buddha? Buddha says something that probably made every god in heaven do a double take. Send him to me. One monkey thinks he outsmarted heaven, but what happens when infinite ego meets infinite wisdom? So Sun Wukong swaggers into Buddha's presence, probably expecting another fight, another chance to show off his incredible powers. And instead, Buddha just sits there, calmly, like he's waiting for a bus. Sun Wukong brought thunder, Buddha brought silence. And silence is undefeated. This drives the Monkey King absolutely crazy, because his whole strategy is intimidation through overwhelming force. But you can't intimidate someone who looks at your cosmic rampage and just smiles. But Buddha doesn't want to crush Sun Wukong. He wants to teach him. And you can't teach someone by overpowering them. You have to let them discover the truth themselves. So Buddha makes what sounds like the most casual bet in history. I hear you're quite powerful. Tell me, can you escape from my palm? Now to Sun Wukong, this sounds ridiculous. He can travel 34,000 miles in a single somersault. He's been to the edge of the universe and back. And this guy wants to know if he can escape from a hand? The Monkey King literally laughs. Are you serious? I can fly beyond the pillars that hold up the sky. Your palm? That's not even a warm-up. Buddha extends his right hand. It's not particularly large, doesn't glow with cosmic energy, doesn't look threatening at all. Just a hand. Go ahead, Buddha says. Show me. Sun Wukong isn't just showing off here. He's desperate to prove he matters. That business launch where you needed everyone to see you succeed? That moment you posted something hoping for validation? We've all been the monkey, trying to prove our worth. Sun Wukong jumps into Buddha's palm, takes one look around, and thinks this is going to be the easiest victory of his life. He was so wrong. He thought he reached the edge of everything, but some edges are just the beginning. So Sun Wukong launches himself into the air and starts flying. Not just flying, we're talking about the cosmic equivalent of a rocket ship. This guy is moving so fast that stars blur past him like streetlights on a highway. He's flying for what feels like hours, days, maybe even years. And the whole time he's thinking, this is too easy. Buddha must be testing my determination, but I've got this locked down. Finally, he sees something in the distance. 5 massive pink pillars stretching from the ground all the way up into infinity. And Sun Wukong thinks, perfect. These must be the pillars that hold up the sky. The literal edge of existence. He lands, looks around, and realizes he's made it. He's actually reached the boundary of the universe itself. Places where even gods don't dare to travel. But reaching the edge of existence isn't enough for his ego. He needs proof. He needs everyone to know that Sun Wukong was here first. So what does he do? He writes graffiti. At the edge of the universe, this guy pulls out a brush and writes on one of the pillars. Sun Wukong, the great sage equal to heaven, was here. But that's still not enough proof for him, so and this is going to sound gross, but it's in the original story, he marks his territory, like a dog, at the base of the first pillar. Yeah, the guy who thinks he's equal to heaven just, well, you get the picture. Then he flies all the way back, probably the most confident he's ever been in his entire life. He lands in Buddha's palm with this massive grin and says, done. I flew to the pillars at the edge of existence. I marked my territory. I even left my signature. Now pay up. And Buddha just smiles. Really? You went to the edge of existence? Let me show you something. Buddha slowly raises his right hand and turns it over. The moment, the oh crap moment. The ego-shattering, mind-melting reveal that changes everything. There, on Buddha's middle finger, written in Sun Wukong's own handwriting, are the words, Sun Wukong, the great sage equal to heaven, was here. And at the base of Buddha's thumb, yeah, that smell the Monkey King was wondering about. The pillars at the edge of existence, they weren't pillars at all. They were Buddha's fingers. Turns out the edge of the universe was just the edge of a finger. He thought he escaped truth, but truth never moved. Sun Wukong never left the palm, not even close. When unlimited power meets unlimited ego, what's the only cure? The look on Sun Wukong's face. Imagine every time you thought you were being clever and then realized everyone else was 3 steps ahead of you. Multiply that by infinity. His whole reality just collapsed. Everything he thought he knew about his own power, his own intelligence, his own place in the universe. Gone. In one devastating moment. And Buddha? He doesn't gloat. He doesn't mock him. He just says very gently, "You never left my palm." Now, most stories would end here with some kind of cosmic punishment, right? Lightning bolts, eternal torture, being erased from existence. But Buddha does something completely different. He turns his hand over, and those same fingers that Sun Wukong mistook for the pillars of existence, they become a mountain. And that mountain pins the Monkey King to the earth. 500 years. That's how long Sun Wukong spends under that mountain. No Wi-Fi, no DoorDash, no flexing in the comments. Just you and your thoughts. But that mountain isn't punishment. It's not revenge, it's a pause button. See, Sun Wukong spent his whole life moving, fighting, acquiring power, proving himself, never stopping to actually think about what he was doing or why. The mountain forces him to be still, to actually sit with himself for the first time in his existence. And that's when the real transformation happens. Not through more power, not through winning another battle, but through stillness. Through being forced to confront who he really is underneath all that ego and bluster. Sometimes the universe doesn't stop you. It lets you exhaust yourself. The mountain teaches what no amount of fighting ever could: humility. And humility? That's the first step toward actual wisdom. Stillness isn't failure. It's the beginning of transformation. In Buddhism, they call it the middle way, the place between trying and giving up, between chasing and sitting still. Because when Sun Wukong finally gets out from under that mountain, he's not the same monkey who thought he could outsmart the universe. He's finally ready to learn what real power actually looks like. So what does a 500-year-old story about an arrogant monkey have to do with your life? Everything. Because we're all Sun Wukong, every single one of us. We're all trying to escape Buddha's palm through something: crypto gains, side hustles, thinking we found the one hack everyone else missed. Every entrepreneur thinking they found the secret sauce. Every person believing their growth strategy is revolutionary. We're all trying to escape someone's palm. But maybe we were never outside it to begin with. When was the last time you thought you had everything figured out? When you found that perfect strategy, that foolproof plan, that shortcut that was going to change everything. And then reality hit. And you realized you weren't as clever as you thought. That's your Buddha's palm moment. That's when life gently reminds you that the universe is way bigger and way smarter than your ego wants to admit. But those moments aren't punishments. They're teachings. Every time life humbles you, every time your plans fall apart, every time you realize you're not in control. That's not failure. That's your mountain. That's life forcing you to pause, to be still, to figure out who you actually are underneath all the hustle and the proving and the constant need to be right. So what's your personal mountain? What's the thing that's keeping you still right now that you think is holding you back, but might actually be exactly what you need to grow? And here's the mystery I'll leave you with. This is just the beginning of Sun Wukong's story. Because what happens when someone who finally understands wisdom regains their power? Turns out the only thing harder to escape than Buddha's palm is your own ego. That's a story for another day, but the next part will change everything you think about power. The palm isn't a prison, it's a mirror. You thought you cracked the system? That was never the challenge. The challenge was learning to stop trying. Turns out, the edge of the universe was just the edge of a finger. And if this story blew your mind, subscribe for more stories that challenge everything. We're talking about demons, gods, impossible quests, and wisdom that'll change how you see everything. Hit that notification bell too, because next week, we're diving into what happens when the Monkey King finally gets his freedom, and you don't want to miss that story.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to LT Gaming. My name is Tom, and today we're taking another look at one of my favourite corners of strategy gaming, Grand Strategy. It's been a little while since we've covered it here on the channel, but to be fair, it's not the fastest moving genre. These games take years to develop, and often even longer to properly settle in. That said, a few new announcements and some interesting titles on the horizon, I thought it was a good time to check back in. Now, just to set the scene, this isn't a broad list of 4X games. Grand Strategy tends to be a little bit different. It's usually more asymmetrical, so you're not starting from scratch on a blank map with evenly matched factions. Instead, you're stepping into a living world, often rooted in history or heavy lore, and you're going to be managing the big picture: diplomacy, warfare, internal politics, and long-term survival. Sometimes it's less about expanding your empire than just holding it together. We've gone fairly deep here on this list, looking beyond just the big names to spotlight some lesser known titles and a few games that are going to really push the genre in new directions. So if you're into the slow burn, systems heavy gameplay, you should find a lot to like here. And if you enjoy the kind of content we do here, thoughtful previews, a focus on mechanics and a bit of indie discovery along the way, feel free to hit subscribe if you think we've earned it. Right, kicking things off with one that might have flown under the radar, Imperial Ambitions. This one is set during the Age of Discovery, and it's aiming for a proper old school Grand Strategy feel, with some interesting modern twists. You're managing a European power, expanding, trading, colonizing, and juggling all the politics, logistics, and unrest that come with running an empire. What grabbed me here is the level of detail. You don't just move your armies around, you're dealing with a full social hierarchy: slaves, peasants, apprentices, artisans, and masters. There's also a strong character layer, so you'll have agents like gentlemen, commanders, and shadow masters, handling everything from battlefield tactics to espionage and covert diplomacy. So it brings a bit of personality into a genre that can sometimes feel a bit abstract. Ambitious, no doubt, but still early days, so keep an eye out for this one. Now here's a title that's caught my eye, Beyond Astra. Developed by Nebule Games, this is a real-time 4X sci-fi grand strategy that aims to blend the expansive scope of titles like Stellaris with tactile ground management level reminiscent of classic city builders. Set in a procedurally generated galaxy, the game will allow for seamless transitions from planetary surfaces to the vastness of space, eliminating loading screens and maintaining your immersion. What stands out with this one is the game's ambition to offer a multifaceted experience. Players can customize their civilization's traits, manage intricate economies, and engage in both ground and space combat. The devs have emphasized community involvement, incorporating feedback from their Kickstarter campaign and actively engaging with players during the game's development. This collaborative approach suggests a commitment to refining the game's mechanics and ensuring a polished final product. Now here's a title that's quietly been building momentum, The Last General. It's a solo developed modern one. Now here's a title that's caught my eye, Beyond Astra. Developed by Nebule Games, this is a real-time 4X sci-fi grand strategy that aims to blend the expansive scope of titles like Stellaris with tactile ground management level reminiscent of classic city builders. Set in a procedurally generated galaxy, the game will allow for seamless transitions from planetary surfaces to the vastness of space, eliminating loading screens and maintaining your immersion. What stands out with this one is the game's ambition to offer a multifaceted experience. Players can customize their civilization's traits, manage intricate economies, and engage in both ground and space combat. The devs have emphasized community involvement, incorporating feedback from their Kickstarter campaign and actively engaging with players during the game's development. This collaborative approach suggests a commitment to refining the game's mechanics and ensuring a polished final product. Now here's a title that's quietly been building momentum, The Last General. It's a solo-developed modern warfare RTS from Alejandro Nunes, an Argentinian developer now based in the US. And it's shaping up to be one of the more ambitious warfare-style projects I've seen in a while. Set on procedurally generated islands of up to 400 square kilometers in size, the game will put you in command of thousands of units. Infantry, tanks, helicopters, artillery, all operating in real time. The idea here is that you're not micromanaging squads, but you're drawing up high-level strategic plans directly onto the map, which your AI-controlled subordinates will then execute. Visually, this game has come quite a long way, with recent updates showcasing improved animations, destructible environments, and dynamic weather effects. The Last General is definitely one to watch if you're interested in large-scale, systems-driven strategy that blends military tactics with political and economic considerations. Now here's one that's been quietly simmering under the radar, Feudums by Calamonia Studios. It's an ambitious medieval grand strategy game that will blend traditional 4X elements with a persistent online world, aiming to capture the intricate dynamics of a feudal society. What sets Feudums apart is its commitment to a player-driven narrative. You start at the head of a modest noble house, striving to expand your fiefdom, manage vassals, and navigate the treacherous waters of medieval politics. The game emphasizes a detailed vassalage system where alliances and betrayals can shape the course of your legacy. What's particularly commendable is their stance against pay-to-win mechanics. Feudums is designed to be fair and competitive, ensuring that success is determined by strategy and diplomacy rather than deep pockets. While still in development, there is a demo available on Steam. Feudum shows promise for those interested in deep, socially driven grand strategy experience. Now this next one's a bit of a mystery wrapped in potential, Grey Eminence. If you've been following grand strategy circles over the past
Coming
years,
soon.
you might have seen this name pop up. It's a historical grand strategy game that aims to model the entire early modern period from the 17th century through to the 19th, with proper real-time world simulation and player-led storytelling. Imagine the ambition of Victoria with the personal depth of Crusader Kings, all running and living in this continuous sandbox. That said, progress has been slow. Development paused for a while, but as of February 2025, the team has confirmed they're close to resuming full-time work and aiming to get back on track this summer. No firm dates yet, but the signs are hopeful. What keeps this one on top of my radar is the sheer scope. No predefined start dates, no railroaded factions, just a world you shape from the ground up through diplomacy, economy and cultural influence. For now, Grey Eminence remains one to watch, a slow burner, but possibly something quite special if it sticks to landing. Now here's one that's been quietly developing, but shows a lot of promise, Master of Command. Set in the 7 Years' War, this real-time strategy game will place you in command of one of 5 major powers: Prussia, France, Britain, Austria or Russia. What sets this one apart is it's a blend of procedurally generated campaigns and detailed tactical battles, giving you a fresh take on 18th century warfare. One of the standout features in this game is the customization options. You can personalize your army's flags, uniforms and equipment, creating a unique identity for your forces. This level of detail extends to the campaign map, which spans from Scotland to Hungary, providing a diverse range of terrains and strategic challenges. While Master of Command is still in development, it does have a planned release date for this year. The devs have been super active in engaging with the community through devlogs and updates. If you're interested in a grand strategy game that combines authenticity and deep tactical gameplay, this is one to keep an eye on. Looking at Ascendance next, this one is developed by Torch Drive. Ascendance is a real-time space strategy that will blend grand strategy management, 4X gameplay and RTS ship combat, set in a vast seamless galaxy. The game will offer players the opportunity to lead their civilization through exploration, colonization and intense space battles. What's looking to set this one apart is its deep simulation of political and economic systems. Players can navigate internal politics, manage supply and demand driven economies, and engage in nuanced diplomacy. It will also feature dynamic physics-based ship combat, giving you an emphasis on tactical position and predictive targeting. This one is still in development with a planned release date of 2025, and Ascendance is really shaping up to be a compelling addition to the grand strategy genre. It has ambitious scope and an attention to detail that make it a title worth keeping an eye on for fans of deep strategic gameplay in a rich sci-fi setting. Now here's a title that's generated quite a bit of a buzz in the grand strategy community, Espiocracy. Developed by Ex Vivo Studios and published by Hooded Horse, Espiocracy is an espionage grand strategy game that places you at the helm of an intelligence agency from one of 74 playable countries. Set against the backdrop of the Cold War, the game allows you to influence ideologies, stage coups, and wage proxy wars, all from the shadows. What's looking to set this one apart is its focus on subterfuge over direct military confrontation, deploying agents to manipulate public opinion, supporting political factions, and even orchestrating assassinations. The game features over 30 types of operation, giving you a diverse range of strategies to achieve your objectives. While Espiocracy is still in development with a planned release date in 2025, the depth and ambition showcased make it a title worth keeping an eye out for. If you're a fan of grand strategy games, and you want something a bit different, a focus on espionage and political intrigue, then this is the game you should wishlist. Gilded Destiny is a grand strategy game set during the transformative era of the Industrial Revolution. Players will take the helm of a chosen nation, guiding it through industrialization, political upheaval, and global conflicts. What looks to set Gilded Destiny apart is detailed simulation of societal transformation. The game will feature a globe composed of over 1 million hexes, reflecting real-world biomes and terrain types. This will allow for strategic placements of cities, buildings, and railways, directly influencing military campaigns and industrial expansion. The economic system is also looking intricate, simulating production chains, supply and demand, and global trade. Players will be able to establish vast production networks, converting raw resources into finished goods. Controlling your supply lines to dominate the global economy is the name of the game. Additionally, it will offer full world editing and modding tools, empowering players to reshape history or create entirely new scenarios. Definitely one to be on the lookout for. And finally, LT Gamers, we arrive at Europa Universalis 5, the long-awaited flagship from Paradox Tinto, officially announced in May after years of speculation. This entry will mark a significant evolution for the series. The starting date will be pushed back to 1337, right on the cusp of the 100 Years' War, which means over 5 centuries of playtime, from medieval feudalism to the early industrial era. Paradox is aiming to capture the full sweep of modern history. What's really intriguing is the shift towards simulating populations and societies. Trade, economy, logistics, and internal stability are being rebuilt around living population models, so you're not just painting the map, you're managing the people who live in it. Also a new approach to game flow, an option to automate parts of your nation, say leaving economic policies to the AI while you focus on war, or vice versa. If that system works well, it could give both newcomers and grognards a bit more breathing room to engage in the parts of the game they enjoy the most. Now, if I'll be honest, this one has me properly amped up. I put thousands of hours into the EU series over the years, from EU1 through to EU4, and its massive expansion libraries along the way. Yes, there's going to be a lot of DLC, but to finally see Europa Universalis 5 becoming real and promising this much depth is genuinely exciting. No solid release date yet, but we're likely looking at 2026 in my opinion, but with one of the most important strategy games on the horizon, I want them to get it right.
This is a button battery, and this is a
Watch it! Stop. Stop. What do you do?
Bye-bye.
656 flank.
12 to 12, it is your rank game. You're about to rank up from Plastic 1 to Iron 3, and imagine this is what you decide to do.
Fucking ran down mid while I was holding B.
What are you doing? My ult is ready.
Oh my god.
Time for a ton of funny / iron moments. There's just a ton of Valorant failures. Pro players are in this, irons are in this, and it's just all of the Valorant iron moments videos I've done montaged into one video. Enjoy.
One enemy remaining.
And if you think iron moments is only exclusive to the low ranks, think again. Pro players are not safe.
Already loaded, I think.
Yeah.
Wow.
Flash, the turn. Spam goes
Bro.
wide. Avoided those shots go wide too. Thing is, you still have the rifle in the hands of Dazzle. They're keeping Tig back. They're doing such.
But no matter what, it'll never be as bad as stuff like this. At least to some extent.
Blake to try and save him, but you're right, he could. And now Optic gonna make their way around, but Loud have a moment, a chance. It's gonna be so slim, so fragile. As here it looks like Victor's made a meal of it.
Oh.
He's absolutely made a mess of that one, and Loud are gonna capitalize. FNS,
He just
gonna
did a
fight this
me.
one out. He has to
He did what I did.
accept that his fate was
You boot up Valorant, you're an amazing Iron player, almost as good as Tens. You're also a Raze main, studied by the legendary Flights himself. You know you have a lot of potential, but there's an enemy Raze on the other team. So, there's only one thing that has to happen. You need to Raze diff them. And this is what it looks like when two Irons try to diff each other. Truth is, I have no idea what he's saying. I just hope it doesn't demonetize me. Like, he looks like a good dude. I'm sure he's saying, like, you know, the enemy's really good or something. When I hear this, why does it feel like it's just gonna be a crazy Kami clip? Like, there's the music, there's the operator, and there's a Cypher Cam. It's a Cypher Cam versus, it's a 1v1 against the Cypher Cam. That's what this is.
run.
To give you a break, here's a beautiful trigger discipline clip where he gets an ace.
One enemy remaining.
Honestly, I've done this multiple times where I whiff so hard that I just give up. So I kind of feel this guy. Honestly, this next one's more of a funny moment. I think this Sage did the breach dirty. I love when people troll a little, like when Cypher throws the cam in front of someone when they're behind. Kind of like teasing your enemy before their death is kind of enjoyable. That sounds psychotic. Imagine losing the round because you tried to kill an AFK and then whiffed on them. Even your knife, how do you whiff a knife? Trust me, I have to mute this next clip because Valorant players' taste in music is insane. I'll just give you 2 seconds to listen to this. What's worse? I don't know what's worse, the Iron moment or that. Mama. This next clip is just copyright music, but it's super weird. You're looking for a Raze diff here, but I think that she sees the enemy Raze detained, so she passes her to look for an ult kill somewhere else, then backs up, decides to switch out of the ult in order to kill her, then wants to switch back to the ult, realizing that she's no longer detained, just for it to all fall apart. I had trouble deciphering this one.
Last player standing.
Oh. This next one needs a little bit of context. So there was clearly a little bit amount. There's some whiffing here, but nothing too crazy, I guess. But anyways, they recover from the whiff, gets a clean shot, but then they're like brain lags and they don't go straight for the defuse. And look at the timer.
Mama, tadi pembutan.
In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti.
Unfortunate, but you know, at least not as unfortunate as this.
Standing.
That's you. That's you.
Last player standing.
Just gonna say, if you're a ratty judge player, karma's gonna come for you.
Strike down. C.
Okay.
Last player standing.
Okay.
Iron moments happen in every rank.
You can never trick a tiger into bathing because a tiger doesn't like taking baths. That's why zookeepers have to face a lot of difficulties because tigers hate water. But no matter how angry tigers get, it is very important to bathe them. So, to make them get into the water, the zookeepers tempt them with meat. And in their effort to get the meat, they jump into the water. You can never trick a tiger.
Telling all the bluebirds, the bill and coo birds, pretty little baby, I'm so in love with you.
So, we're gonna nuke Gaza because of its culture.
Dragons?
What are we gonna say the next time?
And I say, hello, Satan, I believe it is time to go. Me and the devil.
For the character system, we are utilizing and getting inspiration from CK3. So each major ethnicity has their own unique look and feel that can actually blend with each other. So saying you have a European female noble having a child with a African peasant, right? You will get like this mix of DNAs from both parents, and the clothing of the child and as they grow up will depend on what kind of class like they cohere to. So if
there's a place that we'll go to at some point in Colorado called Chimney Rock. It's two natural pillars, huge pillars, are 1,000 feet above the valley floor, and they're connected by a ridge. And you can go up that ridge, and where the ridge sort of flattens out before you get to these two huge pinnacles of rock, there's the remnants of an ancient structure there, an ancient kiva that would have been built by the Chacoan people. And this was one of the Chacoan outliers, part of the whole Chacoan civilization that was pretty much covered the 10,000 square miles of the San Juan Basin in New Mexico, whose hub was Chaco Canyon. And there was a whole series of outliers that were places of observation, high pinnacle points that would have been probably used as a communication system. But at Chimney Rock, remains of a kiva are there, and if you position yourself at the right location within that kiva, which is circular, you peer through those two pinnacle rocks, and it marks that position. You will see the moon rising in between those two rocks. And that's coming up later this year. There's a place that we'll go to at some point in Colorado called Chimney Rock. It's two natural pillars, huge pillars.
All right, Austin. I humored you for a minute while we were in there because I already noticed your bag.
This is going pink good.
I told Grandma we're seasoned for evidence anyhow. But when you have the red spray paint still in your bag, yeah. Your agreement you had with the county has been pulled. Your bond's been revoked. You can go to prison. We're done dealing with you. All right? Good luck there. I'm trying to get a hold of the judge or sheriff. Maybe get you out of protect and put you in general pop. See how that works. So
On May 4th, 2024, police in Sandusky, Ohio responded to an unusual vandalism call. The officer quickly spotted the offensive spray paint on the city's main underpass and began investigating. Just 2 days later, on May 6th, police would have enough probable cause to visit his grandmother's home with an arrest warrant. Detectives immediately had a suspect, 23-year-old Austin Rogers, who has a checkered history with several agencies and was released pending a plea agreement for a similar previous charge. While speaking to his grandmother and entering the house, they would find the evidence they need. The suspect also allegedly posted photos and videos of the vandalism to several websites, including 4chan. The following footage may be uncomfortable to some.
So something I needed to bring to your attention, and I'm sure the chief will want to know ASAP as well. So I'm currently on a vandalism call at the Columbus Ave underpass, and I'm looking at a couple of swastikas, White Lives Matter, Hitler was right, and a thing that says Dresden.com. And it so happens our friend in common, Austin Rogers, was released a couple of days ago from the Erie County Jail from all that, ethnic intimidation, all that stuff. I know it's raining, and I know the chief was really concerned about that and had to call the street department last time this happened over at Charlene Park. Even though it's raining and pouring and all that, and it's opening day, do we still want to contact and have the street department come in on overtime for this so all the tourists don't see? Or are we just going to have them take care of it on Monday? Mm-hmm. Alrighty, thank you, sir. Yeah, bye. Yes, ma'am. Okay, ma'am, I can't help you right now. I'm going to call, and you're back in traffic up. We have to keep it moving, okay? That's fine, yes.
61, you going to be set? Yeah, good, thanks.
All right. What's up?
Is there more on the north side, or is it just the south side?
It's all on the west side wall here. Hey, sorry, I was on the other line with Chris Denny regarding another issue, or regarding something else, so...
There's some down by my cruiser, I'll photograph them.
They can see it plain as day for people that are going north and south of the underpass. It's in bright red spray paint. You can't miss it. Yes, it's all on the west wall. All right, sounds good. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Yeah, bye. Hey, sorry, I wasn't ignoring you. I had Denny in E-Step calling me about 2 different things, and I got to call the chief about this too, about this graffiti. So, just keep. Oh, I know who it is. It's Austin Rogers. It's just I got to check for cameras too because I got to go back to the station real quick so that way I can contact Steve what's-his-face and/or Dave Borsick about this because definitely can't have the tourists on opening day seeing all this shit on the side of the the west side of the wall here. Now you said there's something on the north. Did you see anything on the east side? Yeah. So it's like Dresden.com, I think. Yeah, I checked that website. I have yet to check the website because I only put in Dresden.com, which is like some dubstep group. Yeah, the more I think about that, that's probably a good idea to not look that up either. So, all right. Well, since you're here in the area, can you do me a solid and start looking for cameras to see if we have any or all or anything at all that would face towards over here? Yeah, I think they do too, but I'm not quite sure if that would cover the underpass per se. No, hopefully it will. All right, sweet. Can you leave a business card so that way we can, determine what, try to figure out who exactly did this? All right, sounds good. I need to go back to the station and make some phone calls to see if the street department will come in overtime for this, because obviously we don't want people seeing this shit. Yep. So all right, I'm gonna let you go. Yeah, bye.
1007 Second Street, service warrant.
Okay, you knock on the door.
Either one. I'm not gonna.
Hello. How are you doing? Is Austin here? I need to talk to him.
Austin?
How you doing, ma'am?
All right.
You his mom?
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
sorry.
no, I'm his grandma.
Grandma's alright to come in and talk to you?
Yeah.
All right.
Austin? Austin?
He's inside. Yeah.
They're with them, I don't know. I have no idea what's going on.
So. Hi, Austin. How you doing?
Good.
Got some warrants for you.
Huh?
Got warrants for you.
Okay.
All right.
Hey, what?
Go grab some shoes.
For what now?
Well, he's out spray painting underpasses and everything else and posting about it.
Must be right there.
Your shoes are out there?
Yeah.
Where's your backpack at, bud? There?
Yeah.
You see that? Bring it with you.
You got a warrant, you said?
Do I need a warrant at your grandmother's house? I'll get it. That's fine. Throw it
Yeah.
back down.
Yeah.
If you don't want to give it to me to look,
Yeah, get a warrant.
okay, come on, step out.
Okay.
You in your grandmother's house, we'll deal with it. Where's your keys out there?
We'll walk over to the sheets. Are they behind the store?
Yeah.
Okay. Which pair? Let's take a step over for me. Thank you. Then we'll walk over there to that cruiser.
What are the charges?
Honestly, I'm not aware. I literally pulled up and they just told me they needed somebody for transport. Go on that side of the car. You got anything on you?
No.
No cell phones?
No.
Nothing like that? You got some gloves?
I have to go to the car and grab that.
Alright, go ahead, spread your legs for me. A little bit more than that. Pull these up a little bit. Gotta have a seat.
Yeah, all the brown folks first. It's okay. Brown folks first. How's it going? Just dumb neighbor over here.
She all right?
No, she's fine. Just got a warrant for the kid.
Oh. I was getting ready to say, hell, I see Granny every day.
Yeah, she's fine. Yeah. Just in case he jumps out the window. He'll have to play with me, so. Sounds like it's over with already, so see?
Won't play with you. That's up to you guys.
You too.
You got some gloves?
I have to go to the car and grab that.
I should have some.
I don't think I have no drink cards in here, but we'll see.
Hold on.
We're live.
You're clear.
We're live.
Ronte, you knock on the door. Out this back door too, I remember that. And I had to jump over the fence, the little fence last time.
Oh, you were here last time?
Uh-huh. And I had a snake on the chair. Ski.
Jump over this one?
Yep.
Dog. There's somebody walking up.
To the front?
Here, you got somebody walking to the front. Couldn't tell who it was. Walk your hair, can you see stuff?
No. I would not.
Walked up there.
He's up there?
No, they walked up there. Somebody did. I think so.
Somebody's at the front. Which way? They're letting you in?
Back bedroom.
He's in his back bedroom?
I see him. He's back just sitting right there. Right, come back this way.
This way? Ah.
They're in there with it.
They're in there?
Yeah.
Oh, the doggy.
Yeah. We'll walk up to the shoes. Yeah, open source, white lives matter, all this stuff. Lorraine has a case on for doing the same thing up there, spray paint and everything. So we're getting real charged. We haven't sprayed out Shoreline Park. Then, now is his permanent residency here?
He's been staying here, yeah. But the DD board was looking for a place for him.
Okay.
But maybe because of all this trouble, they
Well,
said.
he got kicked out of 120 Perry because we was doing down there with the knife.
Well, I'm sorry, but I can't believe the DD board put him in there anyway.
I
And
did.
the rugs and all that goes on there. That was no place for him.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at his room, there's a hat on there with a swastika right on top of his bed.
I didn't even know. Oh, it's a hat, yeah.
Ma'am,
I
being
don't
sure,
know this because I
ma'am,
don't know how to wear it.
ma'am, what's your name?
Sharon Lazara.
When we come in and ask them, I can see the backpack that's in the video. I'm just gonna see those evidence right now. I'm just letting you know that.
All right.
Okay? There's this plain dude who walks around with this backpack and all these videos. It's just being seized as evidence right now, and we'll deal with it down the road. Okay?
All right.
Do you have any questions?
No, I don't know what to do, how to help him.
Contact the court and tell him you think he
He
needs
never was out of custody and he never had any problems. But one time with the school, he got in trouble for posting something. But when we went to court, they tried to say he was gonna
Well, the
shoot up the school or something.
the
Well, I
halfway
showed his video, his lawyer, the thing from the supervisor that said no weapons were mentioned. And she said, well, I got it dropped anyways. So, because of all that, they wanted to put him in placement.
Well, he was in a halfway house up in Lorraine, and he wrote something out. He was going to shoot the place up when he went
No,
out.
but
for
after all that
Yeah.
happened, they put him in placement.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about those placements? Those are the worst things that I ever seen. They're bad as prison.
Yeah.
And that's when he started getting mean.
Yeah.
It's like
I mean,
he was beaten up so bad one time. He was in the hospital for how long?
And
He
even
was raped.
Even after he was arrested the first time at 128 Perry, they let him move back in, and he started doing the same stuff all over again.
I don't understand him.
I don't,
I talked to him and
he's got some issues he needs to deal with. And I mean, mental health counseling, I don't know. He told me before he was on meds to keep him level, but he thought they were clouding his mind, so that's why he quit taking them.
that's what I told him. I said, you need to be on some kind of medication. And he said, it makes me
2071. Is there a unit close to 1,000 block of 2nd
when
Street?
you were seeing your psychiatrist, because I did have him to a psychiatrist before he went into prison. I said, you need to tell her that. You don't tell her you're all right. You need to tell her what's going on.
The truth.
And all this other crazy.
Ma'am, I'll let you look at it. What do you see right there on
Yeah.
top? The red spray paint can? That's why. That's why we're taking it. I knew he had it.
I
He's on
don't,
vid- he's
I
on
don't
video with
understand why he keeps doing it.
We don't either, but he's just racking up felony charges every time.
Yeah. The prosecutor's office had an agreement with him. He's supposed to get sentenced at the end of the month. They're revoking that, and they're going to re-pull this whole thing. So now he's got to face all of them. It's like, stop. He just needs to stop what he's doing.
And he knew that, so I didn't think he'd ever do anything like that.
He got, on the 4th, he did it. The 5th, he posted on the website.
Well, I'll tell you right now, from just right here, looking in his room, he has these cards that he puts out on people's porches and stuff of that sort.
Remember we were here the last time? He was taking all the rocks out of
You see what this says?
house?
White children are only 3% of the world population, already a minority in many Western nations.
I don't know either.
But I appreciate it. Hopefully it didn't upset your day too much. Like I said, we just come over to get him. We knew he was going to be here because they just got bonded out. This is his address for the bond out. So
I thought that once he was on probation, he'd straighten out. I can't believe he came around and did this.
I know.
Well, get out your hair. Have a good rest of your day.
Is there a unit close to 1000 block of 2nd Street?
219 Highway Way.
Just need in cars.
Was there an arrest warrant?
Yeah, they have the charge. They're gonna give me a copy of it to give to you.
So there was a warrant though.
Yeah.
Okay. Stop check.
Oh, you already?
74, 2200.
All right, Austin. I humored you for a minute while we were in there because I already noticed your bag, so I seen the pictures of it. I told Grandma we're seizing for evidence anyhow. But when you have the red spray paint still in your bag, yeah. Your agreement you had with the county has been pulled. Your bond's been revoked. You can go to prison. We're done dealing with you. All right? Good luck there. I'm trying to get a hold of the judge or sheriff, maybe get you out of protect and put you in general pop, see how that works. Please.
Man, you're killing me without having this clipboard. Hey, just do it. Sal, you got a copy of the charge and faxing it over.
All the charges are dispatch already. They're clerked.
Yes, sir. Thank you. You want that window up or down?
It's good.
Good.
Appreciate it.
No problem.
Go ahead.
Being route to county 1 mil.
Your plate 534.
Two charges of felony, 5 vandalism.
Okay, thank you.
And they're sending the charges out to the county, so you'll get served with them at the county.
Appreciate it.
No problem. Who's your probation officer?
I have no idea.
Oh, you haven't gotten one yet?
I just went in and they just told me to come back and check in about, they gave me a schedule. It was like May something to May something else.
Gotcha.
It's like twice every month. I'm still new to the probation thing, so I don't know yet.
Gotcha.
I don't think I have one yet. Do they tell you their name when you go in and check in?
I have no clue.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know.
I just figured you had already been on it and was already in contact with one.
No, I just was told to check in, and that's it.
What up? inch of the fall. Take one step forward for me.
The following is footage from September 2023, where authorities arrested Rogers for allegedly placing flyers containing racist, homophobic, and anti-Semitic language on porches of homes in at least 2 Sandusky neighborhoods. Rogers pleaded guilty to 1 count of ethnic intimidation, a 5th-degree felony. In exchange for his plea, 3 other counts, including possession of criminal tools, felonious assault, and aggravated menacing, were dismissed.
Austin, come to the door. Yeah?
Open the door.
Who is it? Police.
You guys got a arrest warrant?
Austin, open the door.
Just need to talk to you tonight.
Need to have a chat.
All right.
What's going on with you?
I just woke up.
Just woke up? All right, I mean, let's talk to you for a minute. See what's going on. Huh?
Sorry about that.
What's up with the race?
What's up?
Well, what are you doing?
I just woke up.
Yeah? Still back in your stuff? Yeah? Alright, why are you putting bags in the driveways all around here?
Huh?
Why are you putting the bags with the rice in the driveways?
Flyer.
Flyers?
Yeah. It's not illegal.
Yeah, it is. Stand up. Come on.
I'll help you. Sure.
Where's your phone at?
Right down the charger.
You running the computer again? You running the computer again?
You think people want to see that shit, man? I don't normally want that stuff at your house. You have your own beliefs, but you don't gotta push them off on everybody. What's up, dude?
Hi.
Get a car for transport, 120 Perry. You got one in custody, we'll be out in a second.
Jamie, I'll meet you here in a second.
Alright, you wait about it. Traversal.
Clear.
Come on, Austin, step over here a second. Any weapons in here again this time? Huh? Let's see, you're out on bond for doing the same dumb shit, and you're out doing it again. Huh? Say you're still not on your meds? Huh? Where'd you get a new computer at? Eric, we got a printer in here with all the stuff on it. This is the ones we just got. How's it running? This?
No idea. Maybe doing it off his phone, hooking his phone up to the...
You doing it?
Yeah, and I asked if flying, I said that it's fine as long as you don't tape it to people's mailboxes. You're not allowed to fly on people's mailboxes.
How about we just tell everybody in the building what you're about and all this stuff and let them deal with you? I think that's going to work out for you.
They already know.
Oh, they already know you're doing this stuff?
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty open with my beliefs.
Okay. How are you working your computer in here?
How do I work my computer?
Yeah, how are you working it?
I don't have a computer.
What's the monitor that? How are you getting all this stuff and making the flyers?
You just print them out.
From where?
My phone.
From your phone?
Yeah.
Okay. You want to put shoes on? You want to go with your socks?
Oh, I'll put my shoes on.
All right. Come on.
So wait, what am I being charged with?
Menacing, probably, and ethnic intimidation.
Plus you're good violated on your bond on all your old cases.
Yeah.
Usually when you agree to OR bond, you agree to not do the same stuff you did to get arrested in the first place, right? Judge covered that with you, probably?
No.
Alright. You got keys that you're gonna need when you come back?
Yeah, I think they're. Yeah, those are right there. Yep. And then I got the little pad, the keypad thing, the key fob.
What's the key fob?
I think it's
Key fob for what? The doors?
Yeah.
All right. So you all the way? Huh?
I mean, yeah. Well,
Just do it again.
2172, you guys go inside? Outside, we're walking out. Alright, we're in the lobby.
Floor 2, going down.
So how'd you pay for your apartment the 4 months you were in jail?
I had money.
Huh?
I had money.
Floor 1,
Okay.
going up.
We'll make sure this time you're not coming back to this next time. Where's the cruiser?
Here's a Nazi homophobic race story. Oh, okay.
Got anything on you? Sarge, you got the keys?
Never seen her, okay. Thank you. Menacing.
Yep, Austin?
Yeah, he's been arrested.
Again.
Okay.
And I'm sure
He's
we'll call about his
the one that's been going around throwing the bags of rice and all the hatred for racism, white supremacy. What else was all in there?
Homophobic, Nazi stuff.
Same stuff.
Anti-Semitic stuff.
Anti-Semitic stuff. He's the one who was doing it before. That's why he got arrested out here before last
Yeah.
year. Same stuff. He's going around throwing bags in people's driveways with rice.
So what's he gonna be charged with?
His bond's being violated. Being charged with aggravated menacing.
Menacing,
Menacing,
ethnic intimidation.
ethnic intimidation, plus his bond revocation.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Who's the manager down here now?
I am.
You are? Yeah, with all his issues he's got going on, you might want to get him out of your building. I told him, I said, how about we tell everybody down there what you're about? Let them deal with it. He goes, they all know.
Oh.
He's definitely off his meds and everything else, so.
He said he's not on meds.
Huh?
He says he's not on meds. He's never been on meds.
He was on before. I interviewed him before he was on.
Can you give me a call so I can know his definite charges so I can...
I'll tell you right now, menacing, ethnic intimidation, and he's gonna have a bond revoked.
Are those felonies?
Yeah, those were off the felonies before. He was threatening the little children. He's gonna rape and kill them. He made threats of that.
Yeah. He's in a bomb stuff.
Bomb
yeah,
stuff. He had all kinds of stuff going. He took all his computers and phones the last time and just did it again.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yep. Here, I'll give you my card. You want to get a hold of me? Yeah. There may be more. We'll get with the prosecutor. Maybe some more we can put on him for this. But he needs to go away. I told him, I said, I'm going to make sure down here they know who you are so they can get rid of you. I said, how'd you keep the thing? He said, well, I had money.
Oh, wow. Okay. I'll let you...
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. His keys and his key fob. Thank you, sir. Tell Jill we'll send out the charges. So you said the right as soon as I
I'm
walked
like,
in.
right,
I
you
saw
see
the
it right
box of
there.
all the flyers on the floor, and I looked at them. I'm like, so why you going around putting them in people's driveway? I'm allowed to. Shut up. Get up. You're under arrest. I'm done playing. It's like, nope.
So you called his attorney beforehand. And isn't there something where you...
What up?
So, man, how you doing? Okay, anything interesting? Easy peasy.
As far as I know, easy peasy. Oh yeah. That to you. I'm gonna grab onto you. I don't want you to fall. Take one step forward for me. Thank you.
Mr. Rogers, didn't you just get out?
Yeah, what you mean?
That's all right. Goes right here on the wall. What are you back for this time?
Vandalism. I think 2 files. I go to court the 29th, pretty soon anyhow. How you doing?
Busy today. They have 16 people in Muni Court right now.
Oh wow.
And of course, they don't start our Muni Court till 11:30, and we've gotten 3 bookings since they started Muni Court. So, and now the releases will start from Muni Court. So, fun. Thank you. I'd have to go ahead and take your necklace off, take your shoes off.
Oh man.
Can I get it? Up there. Just break it. Take your shoes off for me. All right, hands back up on the wall for me real quick. All right, kick this foot back. Other foot. All right, I have you step over here, face the wall. Keep your feet a little more than shoulder width apart. Hands on the black handles. Look up at the green light. All the way up. Try not to move. I do gotta ask you, I forgot the famous questions. Feeling homicidal, suicidal? Nope. Never need emergency medical attention? No. Concerned consuming drugs or alcohol today? No. You don't, obviously you don't have any pockets of focus sticking out, so I already checked you.
Yeah.
Just give me a quick mouse sweep. Kind of pull your cheeks out so I can see your gum line and stuff. Alright, let me see this here. Other ear. Alright, let's go. Thank you much.
No problem. Be safe.
Yeah, you too.
Good luck, Mr. Rogers. You too.
Austin, who is allegedly responsible for many crimes, including stalking, vandalism, along with several acts of prejudice, recently pleaded guilty to some of these incidents. Sentencing information for the Sandusky resident, Austin J. Rogers, is not yet known. In October 2022, Sandusky police arrested Austin for allegedly engaging in a pattern of conduct that caused mental distress. Authorities said Rogers threatened to harm a child and actively stalked this youth. Rogers' attorney originally, in November 2022, filed a plea of not guilty by reason of insanity. At that time, the case was not resolved. More recently, Rogers pleaded guilty to 2 counts of menacing by stalking, a 4th-degree felony. 2 other counts of menacing by stalking were dismissed. Rogers remained locked up in the Erie County Jail on 2 vandalism charges, both felonies. He's also accused of committing a similar act at Shoreline Park. His bond was listed at $15,000. He was rearrested today, July 12th, on a probation violation. Once again booked into the Erie County Jail.
She asks that we not fear mortality, but accept it as all of our shared fates, and reminds us that death is not the end, but actually the beginning to the afterlife. It's thought that the first appearance of a death deity, or skeletal Grim Reaper type figure, emerged in medieval Europe in the wake of the Black Plague, which killed a third of the continent's population in under a decade. But there was also an Aztec deity called Mictlantecuhtli, the god of death, who was often appeased during ritual human sacrifices performed by the Aztecs, who, along with the Mayans, controlled most of Mexico until 1521 AD. So, this god of death figure existed in both Spanish colonial and pre-colonization indigenous religions, but almost fell into cultural obscurity until the Mexican drug war began in 2006, leading to a collective 360,000 homicides. Anyways, back to the interview.
Cuando tú fue joven, tu familia fue pobre, ¿no? Ahorita mi familia son de Michoacán. Allá ellos son ellos. Y tú trabajas aquí y después el dinero das a tu madre y papá y hermanos. Tengo hermanos y mi mamá. Lamentablemente mi papá falleció, pero eso no me agüita. Que, pues lo único que pienso es de que quiero que mis hermanos estén bien, que no agarren, que no miren un mal camino como yo lo estoy haciendo. ¿Tienes miedo sobre ese tipo de trabajo? ¿Miedo? Sí. Yo soy el miedo. ¿Verdad? Así debe ser. Todos tenemos miedo. Todos. Pero si no agarras el miedo, lo tomas, él te va a comer. Sí. Él te come. El miedo es puramente la mentalidad. Nunca no se ha topado de que, no sé, un vato muy fuerte adelantó un carro. Sí. Un auto muy pesado. Es pura mentalidad. Pues la mentalidad es la que te está comiendo. Vacas. 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 Feel me. Vacas. 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 Lo siento.
After stopping briefly to admire the beautiful free-range cows, the coyotes let me know that it was time to plunge into the forest. Beyond these woods, they said, was the perfect place to cross the river.
Adios, vacas.
If you'd like to see our episode, Hopping the Border, go to our Patreon, www.patreon.com/channel5. As many of you know, we are completely independent and primarily supported by crowdfunding, which comes by way of your monthly subscriptions to our Patreon. So if you feel like checking it out, check it out. But if not, it's all good. Thanks for watching.
Channel 5 live worldwide, Hollywood and Vine. Fuck the authority, Channel 5 News. Channel 55. We don't fuck with costers. And 5 is the best number.
This is me, in the Rio Grande River, hopping the border between Mexico and the United States. Just last year alone, over 2 million migrants entered the US this way. And despite Texas trying to stop them with razor wire, floating barriers, and warning signs, hundreds, if not thousands, still cross every single day. And many, unfortunately, do not survive.
Hundreds of migrants have died trying to make a similar journey. A lot more have been stopped by US border police.
But rarely, if not ever, has this process actually been documented from a first-person perspective. So we, as legal American citizens, decided to put ourselves in the shoes of the migrant, at least for the final chapter of their journey, and cross the river ourselves. This would prove to be not the best idea.
One hand, I'll grab you in the other.
Just a few seconds after crossing back into the US, the coyotes we traveled with told us to get down. And as I laid down in the fetal position in the dirt, I could hear the sound of tires coming to a halt and gravel crackling on the road.
Manos arriba. Ven pa' acá, usted.
Speak English.
Hands up. Speak English?
Yeah.
Get up. Let me see your hands. Got any guns on you?
No, sir.
Face away from me.
We're journalists.
Usted, manos arriba. Bájate. Súbete. You too. You speak English?
Yeah.
Stand up.
As it turned out, United States Border Patrol had been following us for the past hour using infrared heat sensor cameras from boats. Just a minute later, we were placed under arrest, handcuffed, and put in the back of a Border Patrol vehicle. The agents, however, remained on scene to collect our belongings. And by some miracle of God, they forgot to turn off the cameras or confiscate our SD cards, which is how you're able to see this footage. We thought we were going to be fine. I mean, truth be told, we didn't think what we did was illegal. But oh boy, were we wrong. We spent the next 4 days locked up as detainees at a migrant processing center in Eagle Pass, Texas. We weren't given a phone call until 48 hours after our detention. But thankfully, we'd brought along 2 additional videographers for this particular shoot, who were stationed safe and sound on the American side while we crossed the river. Here is their story.
My name is Juan Jimenez. I'm Elliot Liedgren, and we got brought on to do some B-roll and film for Channel 5. All of us were like so extremely confident, like we're gonna get this crazy video of what people go through like every fucking day.
This is 250 calories to prevent me from dying of hunger, and then this is a knife to maybe cut through weeds up there.
And we were just like excited. I think we were all excited to like be able to get that footage. But yeah, Andrew and Susan went to jail.
All right, so turns out you actually can't do that. So if you're watching this, don't do what I did.
It's a federal offense called failure to report,
AKA illegal entry to the United States.
punishable by up to 1 year in federal prison and or $5,000 in fines.
You can only enter the United States through an official port of entry with a customs agent there. Even if you're an American citizen, you cannot hop the border into your own country.
It took a lot longer, honestly, than I initially thought. I mean, I think we were on the other side 2-3 hours or something.
Yeah,
like
at
that.
least. So we had their location, and I was like looking at it, and you guys were moving like super slow, but we were rooting for you, you know what I mean? Like, oh fuck, they're probably like, I'm imagining you guys like, you know, crawling through the brush and shit, like fighting off like snakes and scorpions and shit, but
we kept checking like every...
Just refreshing,
probably,
just
like 10 minutes just being, all right, like, oh, the boys are moving.
They get to the Rio Grande, and we're like, fuck yeah, they made it to the fucking river, you know? And slowly see them cross. America, fuck yeah, they made it. Then they get to the other side, and they're just like motionless for like, gotta be like 15, 20 minutes, and I was like, word, like, you know, again, envisioning them just like waiting for the BP truck to go by and like, you know, just hiding out, like 15, 20, 30 minutes, like it was like, all right, like, fuck's going on here? And then boom, speeding up the highway, and then all of a sudden it was like, bam, like Eagle Pass, South Texas Border Patrol Station. I was like, fuck, bro.
Yeah. As soon as the Border Patrol agent apprehended us right across the river, both the coyotes who brought us across jump back in the river, swim back toward Mexico.
Come back, over here. Get over here.
This left us alone in Border Patrol custody.
So I just told them exactly, you know, what was up. I told them, hey, we're journalists. We're trying to interview some migrants. We interviewed some people on the Mexican side. We just interviewed those guys that brought us across, but we don't actually know who they are, which is true. So they were actually pretty cool. Like the Border Patrol agents, if I remember correctly, they were like understanding. They just said, okay, we're gonna take you to the facility. We're gonna run your IDs, run your name, make sure you have no criminal charges. And then once we check for that, you guys will be good to go. So we thought it was gonna be fine. So we get there to the Border Patrol facility. They take the shoelaces out of our shoes, give us flip-flops, give me this blue outfit, and we walk in. It kind of looks like a DMV or a Department of Licensing, depending on which state you're in. So you know how it is. It's like you got 6 computers behind this like Citadel type center complex. Everyone's typing away, running people's names and shit. We're just sitting there waiting, you know what I mean? So I go up there, they take my fingerprint, they take a picture of me, they ask me a couple basic questions. What were you doing in Mexico? Have you ever been to North Korea? Like, have you ever been to Russia before? Random shit to see if I was like a spy. They were like, and then he was like, all right, cool, sounds good. We'll talk to you in a second. So I sit on one of the benches right there. I'm just waiting to be released, obviously, because I'm like, oh, you know, Once they figure out that we are journalists, I was like, look up our channel, you'll see what we do. Like, we meant no ill intent. It's all good. So the Border Patrol dudes start telling me these stories about how they've had to rescue drowning children and how they've had to discover dead bodies floating in the river and just all these traumatic incidents that their job entails, and how they felt like we were kind of making a mockery of their job and the risk associated by trying to cross, which I was sympathetic to. Looking back, I think we did go a bit beyond what is safe and acceptable, but I wanted to get the story, so I figured it made sense at the time. But looking back, I probably wouldn't do it again. I do my interview. Behind me, there had to have been, I would say, like 200 migrants just staring at me through this glass window. And it was like the weirdest thing I'd ever seen. You know, and they were bewildered as well because they were also wearing these outfits, and they saw I was in the outfit and I'm visibly American, and Susan is also visibly American. At first it was a little bit awkward, but then I guess there's some metal star in Latin America that looks just like Susan. What's his name? El Buki. El Buki, I guess they're a big fan, so we hear people yelling, El Buki, and going like this, like, El Buki. Susan just turns back and he's like this, El Buki, and they're all just like, yeah! They were hyped on us, you know, and most of these dudes are covered in water from the Rio Grande, like bloodshot eyes. I can't even imagine how long they've been on the road for. Like, if I wasn't mistaken, like most of them were being processed to be sent home. It wasn't like a put you on a bus, take you to Chicago type of situation. It was like kind of dark vibes. And so I'm looking at, you know, all these dudes in the box, as they call it, and I'm like, oh, thank God I'm not going in there. You know, like, it's gonna be fine. And so they call me back up and they're like, Callahan, you're being brought up for prosecution. And they're like, illegal entry into the United States. And I'm like, what the fuck? I was like, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean illegal entry? Like, I'm not an illegal. And one of them goes, I know you're not an illegal alien, but you did something an illegal alien would do. You know, I asked the dude there, I'm like, all right, let's keep it real. Like, when are we getting out of here? And he's like, probably a couple hours. Remember that? And I'm like, all right, should I wait in here? He's like, no, we're gonna have you wait in the box. I'm just like, dude, no fucking way. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm like kicking and screaming at this moment. I was like, I'm a fucking American citizen and I have rights. And they were like, you're a detainee. And I guess detention status isn't like being processed in a county jail.
So, I mean, obviously, first thing we did was try to call the Border Patrol office. And it's funny, when I was on the phone with them, like, I was starting to realize that they don't operate like regular cops. Like, if you get booked in like a regular county jail, you'll end up on some booking website, like probably by the end of the night. And all the info's there. They'll see when you got locked up, what you're there for. When I called them, they basically said, if you have friends that are here right now, they are under investigation. And if they're under investigation, we're not at liberty to talk about any of this. They didn't have to confirm like whether or not they were there or anything. Like,
being in the custody of CBP is not the same as being in custody of like with the police.
Right.
Because police, there's the Constitution and everything, all of that. CBP, not so much, because if you're illegal, you don't have constitutional rights. I mean, they could be charged with human trafficking if they were believed to be so, because, you know, if two guys going across the border and you bring somebody with you, that's human trafficking.
So being a detainee is super weird because you don't have access to traditional jail shit. Like, there's no rec time, there's no commissary or like phone calls. So I go into this box, right? Extremely bright room, probably 20 feet wide, 20 feet long, 20 by 20 room with maybe 60 migrants in there, all huddled up next to each other. There's one giant jug of Gatorade in the middle. They have a tiny TV in there, and that movie Marley and Me was playing, that Owen Wilson movie where the golden retriever dies. Spoiler alert. And there's one sink and one toilet for 50 people. Whew! That did not stop dudes from shitting. Man, I've never smelled gnarlier shits in my life. I walk in and they were like, ¿Por qué estás aquí? And I was like, soy americano. And they were like, americano y estás aquí? ¿Por qué? And so I became like a real golden goose up in that pod. There's this big ass tag on the wall that says MS Honduras, like, you know, MS-13 Honduras. All these fucking dudes in there start pointing to it and they're like, Mira, Mississippi! Aha, Mississippi! They're acting like I did it because I'm white. They were just fucking with me. Susan is in the other pod across the way. So I see him, I don't know what it was, but I see him sitting there and this Haitian dude was looking at Susan like he was trying to like run his cheeks type vibes. Do you remember him? I look over at you, I see you and this Haitian dude looking at me like this.
It didn't stop for at least 25 minutes.
So I'm laughing hysterically because this guy's gotta be like 5 feet away from Susan. So I keep going like this, letting the homie know I'm all right. Ended up talking to these kids from Colombia, super cool ass like 19-year-old kids from Colombia. Had absolutely no idea about like what America was like. Didn't even know where they were going. They were just like, yeah, we just left Medellin. We're from the slums. We left the slums of Medellin 2 days ago. The first thing they asked me is they're like, where do people speak Spanish at? And I was like, pretty much everywhere, you know, a lot of Mexicans in Texas and California and the Southwest. And in Florida, you got the Cubans, and New York and Philly, you got Puerto Ricans and Dominicans and stuff. And they were like, what about Nashville? And I was like, no, they don't speak Spanish there. I was like the one place where I was like, they definitely don't speak Spanish there. And they were like, that's where I want to go. And I was like, why? And they were like, Taylor Swift, she's so sexy. I love Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift. And like, that was like their fantasy, was to just like cowboy and cowgirl. Like, it was that simple. And I realized like, damn, not every migrant is like at the end of their wits. Like, some of them just want to have an adventure. And that's what these kids were on. And I was like, are you guys worried about getting deported? They're like, nah, we'll just come back again. And so that was interesting. So I chopped it up with them. They were asking me about my tattoos and shit. A lot of them, you know, were funny and shit. Yeah, there was some bullying happening in the pod because there was this kid who wouldn't stop crying. And you know, like, we're not talking about crying. Like, he was like, you know, and no disrespect, because I'm sure he was going through it, but like, there's 50 dudes in there. Half of them are trying to sleep. Some are trying to watch Marley and Me. I keep trying to run the dude up for Capri Suns, and this dude in the corner is blowing everybody's high. And so he's just like, ah! And so I go up to him, naturally being someone that tries to empathize with people. I'm like, dude, what's going on? And he's like, Nepal, Nepal. I was like, yep, Nepal. And he points to his wristband, and it said like Nepal 18. So he was from Nepal. And I was like, yeah, Nepal. And he's like, Nepal, Nepal. I was like, God, this guy sucks. But he was cool. He was just so bummed out, and just found it crazy there was people all the way from Nepal and shit. I would say that in the 4 days that we were locked up at the facility, we probably saw 10,000 people being processed from all walks of life, from all countries I could even think of. Countries I didn't even know existed. Uzbekistan, the hell's that? Like, some of them, it was a really difficult situation with the translation because most of the Border Patrol agents speak Spanish and English. So they're on the phone with the fucking Bangladeshi consulate being like, do you claim this, man? You know what I mean? They're like, yeah, they got phones and translators and shit. Kid from Nepal is crying. Got Congress people from Kathmandu being like, bring him home. It's a fucking nightmare. It's like you're in the UN. But man, I saw so many people.
While I was detained, Elliot and Juan did their best to continue the shoot and walked around Eagle Pass asking people if they knew of something going on.
We went to the smoke shop to get some rolling papers, and the locals there, they told us about some street races that were going on.
I started recording, there was first race. All of a sudden, like, you know, and I just happened to be recording, thank God, like, you know, and fucking, so I got this gnarly car crash on camera, and then the smoke clears, and you can just see the fucking, like, the carcass of that fucking car, like, left there. Oh my God, they were saying it was some $300,000 car that was on Street Outlaws or something like that.
As night began to fall on the first day of my detention, Elliot and Juan went to a local bar called Cooters, expecting me to be released at any moment.
Free them boys!
Free my guys.
Free them boys, bro. This shit's fucked up, bro.
Then all of a sudden, the guards come back about 3 hours later. They say, everybody except Callahan, get on the bus. Everybody from the pod fucking leaves. And I'm like, what the fuck, man? I'm trying to get out of here. And they were like, yeah, your case is kind of a weird one, and the courts are pretty backed up right now, so we're just gonna have you hang tight, all right? See you in a bit. Fucking as soon as all the homies leave, 60 new guys come in. So I'm sitting alone. All these migrants start dumping into the pod. I'm like, fuck. So this nightmare repeats itself over and over again, to the point where even the guards realize they're being a little bit too harsh. So they put me and Susan in a solitary confinement cell together. It was the best moment of my life. They were like, Callahan. And I'm like, oh, am I getting out? They were like, you and Susan are going to the hole. We can't have you fraternizing with these illegal aliens. They seem to be taking a real liking to you. And I was like, shit. So they put me and Susan in the cell, and it's 62 degrees. When I talked to an immigration-related journalist later, they said they refer to these rooms as the ice boxes. How do you say it? Hieleras? Hieleras. And they purposely make them as cold as possible to like send a message to migrants, so when they get out and they go back and tell their families or potential people who want to cross, like, yo, it's freezing in there. So it's 62 degrees. And also, like, the thing that I didn't even know that fucked me up is no natural light. And I'm not talking about the beer, I'm talking about the sun. Like, it fucks with you. I didn't like really understand that I was dependent on the sun, like as a human being. Like I never saw the sunlight and I was like, oh fuck, thank God. But when you're just like in a room where the lights never turn off, there's no bed, there's no pillow, there is just the cold, hard ground, a vent blowing out 62-degree air, and a little like bench type situation with no mat on it either. And it was horrible, especially because I had no idea how long I'd be in there for. They wouldn't tell me when I'm getting out. I was like, am I getting out tomorrow or the next day? Dude, 2 days go by.
On the beginning of the second day in the processing center, they decided to separate me and Susan, they say, for legal reasons. They said that because our case was ongoing, there were concerns that we were conspiring to provide the Department of Homeland Security with a false alibi, and so they moved us both to solitary confinement cells.
Yeah, no, it was crazy. I was sitting there in my cell, stinking up the place. No showers, no hand soap, and also like just like wondering what my bros were up to. I can only imagine how they must have felt. I mean, they must have been worried sick thinking about, you know, what I was going through. Like I just imagined how hard it must have been for them to know that their homie was being held in a small concrete cage.
Don't you change on me, little baby, don't you switch up. I just up right now, I hope the Lord help me get up. I've been dealing with this pain, I hardly talk about my feelings.
So all of this happened to be going down during Halloween weekend. So at one point, like, yeah, and like, it was funny. It was like, are we really gonna go to a Halloween party right now while our boys are locked up? It's like, I don't know what else to do. Like, we gotta get this footage. Like, let's go see what's happening in Eagle Pass.
So we go out Saturday, we go to the Halloween party.
Chetta, of course, gets us the address. We pull up and it's like, I haven't been to a party like this in a while. It was like solo cups, there's like a pool that fully clothed people are like kind of swimming in. Like everybody's dressed up, they're playing fucking goddamn square dancing music. Like the whole fucking, the party was popping. It was,
yeah,
it was
lit.
It was fucking lit.
We were like all rolling around with cameras and I was just like telling people to jump in the pool and they would jump in the pool. Best shit ever.
Yeah, so learned how to square dance that night. That was sick.
Thankfully, they also did as I would do and found a rapper to freestyle by the end of the night.
You already know, coming up from the 830 to the 405 with my native tribe, spitting this alive, spitting this shit to survive. You already know we're coming up and so live. Yeah, with the border crisis, you already fucking know. Fuck ISIS, you already fucking know.
It's been 36 hours, it's coming up on 48. Now we gotta call somebody. Now we gotta reach out and like keep people in the loop and, you know, kind of make like a team. I was under the impression that if Susan or Andrew got a call, they were probably gonna call like the wife or the mom or the girlfriend, right? So basically had to give them a hard call and be like, hey, I don't know how to say this, but you know, our boys are locked up right now. I'm really not working with much information, but I do know that if they get a call, one of you three is gonna be the call. Let's have an open line of communication. We started a group chat, like, you know, just so we could all be on the same page, just like keep all the worrying to like a minimum. It was a super intense situation. It was kind of at first, it was like, haha, oh shit. And then like now it was like, all right, now that they're being in there for almost 2 days with no information, we have no idea what's going on. It was super real. It was starting to feel like fucked up. And then, you know, your mind starts wondering like, holy shit, maybe this is way more illegal than I anticipated. Like maybe there's actually the thought of like, you know, them being in jail for like 3, 6 months, a year. Like that started becoming like an actual possibility. Like fuck.
As night fell on day 3, hygiene became a real issue.
We start really stinking. And so I start requesting showers. I'm like, please can I shower? Please can I have a mat? Please can I have a pillow? Can I have anything? And they were just like, no. You know, I was like, all right, well, can I get a phone call? They're like, nope, nothing. No access to any of that shit. So I was just requesting Capri Sun after Capri Sun for like 3.5 hours. Finally, they let me get one phone call. And so I call my mom. I'm like, yo, I'm okay. Tell my girl I'm okay. Let all the homies know I'm good. I just want people to know that I'm safe, you know, and not, you know, beheaded by the cartel or some shit.
And so it was time to get in touch with some lawyers. And so we had literally pulled up to some
breast cancer awareness festival or something like that that they host every year.
Still not having a fluid understanding of what exactly my charges were, Elliot and Juan went to a local non-profit event to speak with some lawyers. Immigration lawyers, specifically, who were offering free consultations.
My name's Edgar Juarez. I am originally from South Texas, but I'm here living in Eagle Pass, Texas. I am a criminal defense attorney.
So, hypothetically,
okay,
if an American citizen was for some reason to want to cross over illegally, what would the ramifications be? Would they, if they got caught by Border Patrol?
Okay, so if you're talking about a U.S. citizen that's in Mexico and he decides to do a trek across into the United States as if he didn't have documentation to cross, and he were to cross that way, more than likely he will be detained and he's looking at criminal offenses. A lot of people don't know this, but to enter to the United States, you need to enter into a port of entry. There are designated ports of entries, and you need
two women did it. If it was because he was romantically obsessed with her, how is it that she never saw or heard him? If he was a part of it all, why did she cover for him? It's obviously false, but she is trying, once again, to gain favor with the investigators. She wants to admit fault for a lesser thing, cheating, so they believe that from this point, she is being honest.
So, what aspect are you saying? Like, how does talking to other people got you here? We've gotten over.
I made mistakes and I talked to other men that I shouldn't have.
But we took it a step farther this time.
This is a little different than just chatting with them. I appreciate you talking and being forthright about the other guys you were talking to. When did it turn into something more? Obviously, you never would have imagined that CNN in 2020 and Good Morning America would care about you wanting to leave Keith or wanting to teach him a lesson or wanting to get him in line.
No, I was just talking to James. You don't want to leave my husband.
How are you talking to James?
I don't want to leave my husband.
Sure. How were you talking to James? On your cell phone or another cell phone?
My work cell phone. I don't want to leave my husband. I don't want to leave my husband.
This is more like just a flirt?
What's your work cell phone number?
Remember?
What's that?
I don't remember.
How long were you guys talking?
I don't know.
Why would he rent a car and come and get you?
I don't know.
Well, if you don't know that, why would you get in a car and go down to Costa Mesa?
Those are all things we can verify, Sherry. The car rental, the fuel, the mileage, the calls from you to him, the burner phone, all that can be proven.
Horrible.
I don't think you're a horrible person, Sherry. I think things went a little sideways on you.
We started this conversation off that nobody knew what this was going to turn into. I didn't know that I'd have people stand on boxes in front of my office. That Keith would be on 2020.
My husband, I want my children. I'm stupid for talking to other guys.
But why did James come and get you? I know you guys were talking. I know you've said in the past that Keith has hurt you to other friends. Why tell them those details if that stuff's not true? It's one thing to talk. It's one thing to talk. It's another thing to say abuse is occurring. Everybody I talked to about James says he's the nicest person in the whole world. Yeah, he may be a hockey player, but he is the nicest person in the world. He's nice to a fault. I know lots of people. I don't know anybody I'd rent a car for and drive 9 hours for. Keith, James did that for you. He never helping you. He never asked you why. He never questioned anything.
He never put reward money on the line.
He never asked for anything. He didn't ask for sexual relations. He didn't ask for a relationship after you. He didn't ask for anything. He's never even talked to you since.
And yet he stayed quiet until now.
And the only reason why he talked is because we have his DNA. That's the only reason why we got to his door. That's the only thing that led us to his closet. That's the only thing that led us to the bathroom. That's goofy. And that's the only reason why he started talking to us. Once he showed us the bedroom and we started pointing out the holes in the wall, like, You used to have this boarded up, huh? And he said, yeah.
Sherry asked me to put boards up.
Nobody's ever going to be able to answer why decisions were made.
Except for James. I don't understand.
You don't understand what? What parts are you not understanding?
He even showed us, Sherry. He even showed us the letters that were used for the brand, the numbers. I got pictures of them right here. This
What
the
is
set that was used?
What did the Bible verse mean to you?
How would you have known that?
Why did you pick that Bible verse? Did James pick the Bible verse? We need to be able to control the outcome and what's going to happen next. The only thing we know is going to happen right now is what you can tell us and what you can shed light on, and for other people to be able to try to understand. If it was a mistake, it was a mistake. But at this point, not telling us what happened, not telling us the truth is another mistake. It's a mistake on top of a mistake. Right now, we can start over. We can end. We can leave without a dirty conscience, without the what's going to happen next. Right now,
Deep down inside, Sherry, I know you know what's right and what you should do, and you should come clean.
Why did you ask James to come get you? You asked Donovan the night before to come meet up with you. Everything happened at once. You were asking him to.
Stupid thing to do.
The thing about it is we were able to prove that Donovan never came up here. But now we can prove that James did. We have records to prove it. Although you might not think it was a good idea now, 2020 hindsight. At the time, why did you ask him to come pick you up? Was that an I don't know? What's that?
Can't be James.
It is James. We can
Sherry, the DNA doesn't lie. His DNA was on you. Your DNA is going to be in that room.
1 in septillion that was James. I don't even know how many zeros septillion is, to be honest with you.
That's why, despite your description of how far you might have gone in the car, we already went down there. We knocked on his door. We took those pictures. He understood that the DNA didn't lie, so he came clean. Now it's your chance to do the same. And if you don't, you're going to be shaking your head later and say, I should have told him what happened.
Talk to me like that.
Like what?
There's so many fears right now that we can't even wrap our head around it. There's too many unknowns that we can't control. We can't control what the media is going to do. We can't control what everybody's going to think. The only thing we can control right now is to control that James told us the truth, and that's a yes or a no. What did James lie about? What did James lie to us about? Of the things I've told you.
I don't know. I just don't know. There's just no way it can be James. I just don't know. I don't know.
It is James. That's not even a question anymore.
We know you were in that room. That's already clear.
You described everything in the room.
What you're saying is it wasn't James that came and picked you up by the mailboxes? Is that what you're saying? There's still 2 females? Is that what you're saying, Sharon?
Yeah.
At the end of everything, once you had to have known that this was going to come at some point.
I was talking to my mom.
What's that?
This is all my fault. I was talking to so many guys.
Well, we know.
Such a stupid thing to do.
Yeah, but then how did we get to Costa Rica? Or sorry, Costa Mesa? Or how did we get to LA? There's a big jump and a leap from talking to men to getting in a car with somebody. But that getting in a car with somebody is somebody you had a relationship with. He told us about the abortion. He told us about your guys' relationship. He told us about things that I don't know if you've ever told anybody about. He told us so many things. And he did it all for you. Nobody else. He got nothing out of this.
And you're welcome to go home, Sharon. But right now is your opportunity to tell us the truth. And
Can't be.
are you saying that it was 2 females that picked you up? What's that? Every time I ask that question, it seems like you don't answer it.
I can't be happening.
You sat in a room, you drew out 2 people on a sketch, Sherry. Are those 2 people the ones that took you? It's a yes or no.
I don't know.
Well, you were pretty clear when I asked you earlier, what did the younger one do? You said the younger one pointed a gun at you. She wasn't. It was just James. James was 2 hours late.
We have the rental records from 2016 for the vehicle that he used.
Why?
Because we went and looked for it because he told me.
Because I was talking to you.
That's clear. You were talking to him.
It's my fault because I was doing them. I just can't.
We have to control what we can control. We're to the point. Did the younger female that you've always described, is she the one that pointed a gun at you? Is that true or not?
Oh no.
You do know. You told me earlier. So earlier today, when we were talking, I asked you what did the younger one do. You told me the younger one pointed a gun at you and let you go. That's what you said.
She let me go.
And you let yourself go. You let yourself out of the backseat. Never even said bye to James. Never a thank you, never a nothing. Just an out.
No.
Yeah, that's what James told me. Until you can start telling me that James is a liar and start pointing things out, James passed a polygraph.
This is my fault that I was talking to him. It's my fault that I was flirting with other men. It was such a stupid thing to do. I love my husband. I love my children.
That's understandable.
It's too stupid for
Here's the deal, though,
flirting with other
Sherry.
men.
Flirting with other men, not a crime. Lying to me today, yes, a crime. Big difference.
Telling your story of what happened to you isn't a crime.
And I know you're scared of what Keith is going to say and do, what's going to happen with you and your family. Those are real concerns. But we also need to understand the truth. And you're in the best position to give us that. You keep saying that it can't be him. The DNA doesn't lie. It's him.
You were talking to him.
Now's the opportunity for you to tell us.
I was talking to him. I was talking to him.
And we
I
talked.
started talking again. It was really nice.
Okay.
You started talking again what?
When her brother died.
Oh, sure.
And that makes sense. The problem we have is the actions after the talking, after the flirting. There was a big difference between talking on the phone and getting in a car with somebody. So are you saying that James got 2 females to kidnap you? Is that what you're trying to say?
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know? So if James's DNA is on you, are you? So either we're still saying the younger girl pointed a gun at you, or we're saying we don't know. You've already told me that today. That a younger girl pointed a gun at you.
You said you didn't want her to get caught. So are we still talking to the female let you go?
That's where we're at. And I don't know doesn't add clarity on simple questions, Sherry. A very easy question. Did James pick you up? You told me earlier that a girl pointed a gun at you. Is that detail? Which one's true? It's only one. Only one of those are true, Sherry. You've told both of them. I've told one. You've told the other. Which one's true? Does James need to go to jail for all the stuff that you asked him to do?
I did not ask for this.
No, nobody asked for this. Sherry, I believe you. Nobody asked for this. Nobody asked for ABC News to park out in your driveway.
There was no way you could have predicted that this was going to blow up into be as big as it was. Not even God thought it was going to turn into this big. Even when he first got the call, he didn't think that CNN and ABC and everybody was going to care.
I'm going to find Sherry in a couple of days because I found Donovan. I found the people some of the people you were talking to. I've never known about your work cell phone.
Stupid.
But we're beyond that small discretion. We've talked about that discretion. We've talked about Donovan, right? Remember? We talked about Donovan. Who picked you up? Was it James or was it a female that pointed a gun at you? Can you please answer that? You're shaking your head no.
I will not get. I'm not talking to you about that. I'm not going to get anybody in trouble. I've told you before. I do not want anyone to get in trouble.
Well, you're going to get yourself in trouble at this point. That's where we're at. So either James.
I didn't do anything wrong.
I know you didn't do anything wrong. Right now, you're not telling the truth, which is doing something wrong. That's where we're at. James put himself on a polygraph. Talked to FBI agents. He talked with Peter and I for 6 hours. He told us everything, Sherry. You told us so many truths because you put yourself through.
True.
They were true. You're absolutely
You
right.
don't want to talk about the women.
So, but the one.
You're saying that it's James.
No,
We're saying James's DNA was on you. We know you were in that room at his house.
Then who is the woman? Then who is the woman?
Well,
Okay.
that's
why we're asking you. It
Did the
wasn't
woman point a gun at you and put you in the car? Yes or no? Is that where we're at?
Don't remember.
You don't remember if a female pointed a gun at you and put you in the car? Is that what you're saying, Sherry?
I've always told you I don't remember getting in the car. I've always told you I don't remember getting in the car.
Correct. But did a female point a gun at you? Yes or no?
Remember.
Yes or no? It's not a remember thing. You've already told me that today.
You know who she is. I know you do.
It was always
You
Keith.
know who she is.
Yo,
You know
the lady
you do.
we showed you.
What's up, John?
Another raid.
Okay. Oh. I was gonna ask, how's it going? God.
No, I know James opened the door for you. Whether you want to forget how you got in the car, I'm okay with that. But you've already established today. That's why I asked you today. What did the younger girl do? You said she let me go and she pointed a gun at me. We didn't talk about how you got in the car. Right now, I'm asking you: did a younger female point a gun at you? Yes or no? What?
I know you know who she is. I'm not saying it. I don't want her to get in trouble.
She's not
I
getting
know
in
you know who she is.
You're getting in trouble.
I'm not. I didn't do anything.
But right now, answer this one question. Did a female point a gun at you, yes or no?
I am done speaking to you until I talk to a lawyer. I will not arrest her. I am with my children because of her.
I'm disappointed, Sherry.
I don't understand. There is no way that chance he loved me.
You did love me. I agree.
Sherry, if you want to talk to your attorney, that's fine. We can wrap this up. If you want to keep talking to us, that's a separate story, but you said you wanted to talk to your attorney, so like I said from the beginning, you're free to go and you can go. I would ask you one more question, just for your own welfare. Do you feel like harming yourself?
For welfare.
Do you feel like harming yourself?
No, I just snag my children and go home.
Okay. Well, you're free to go and do that.
Sherry invokes her right to have an attorney, something that she should have done in the beginning, especially with the knowledge that she's bold-faced lying to everybody. But she already made a number of interesting admissions. She admitted to speaking to James and multiple other men throughout her marriage. She admitted to lying about Keith ever assaulting her, and she admitted to lying to others about various injuries she had obtained throughout her life. If Sherry had pled not guilty in court, her lawyers would have no doubt tried to paint Sherry as a sympathetic character who would never lie about being abused. However, this very interview could be used as evidence directly against that notion. But let us continue.
If you change your mind and you want to come forward and talk to us.
This is all my fault because I talked to other men. This cannot be.
My ultimate's ready.
My ult is ready.
You might have come and talk.
This small snippet of footage is vaguely haunting, as Sherry immediately rights herself when the interrogation ends. She goes from being completely hunched over, shaking and sobbing, repeating that she can't believe her ex-boyfriend had any part of this, and that this all happened because she flirted with other men outside of her marriage, to sitting up perfectly straight, wiping her eyes, grabbing her purse, and walking out as if nothing happened. But still, there's more.
I'm the idiot husband that stayed around the whole time.
What'd you call me? It's still, you can't tell you a lot, honestly. I don't know what.
It's a pretty good stream. Doing Valorant right now. Said I'm doing Valorant right now. You said it was too hard, so we're gonna skip this one. What the fuck is that supposed to mean? What the fuck does that supposed to mean?
They're all too hard for you. 100%.
We'll see.
I guess you won't if you're too lazy to even try it. But yeah, they're all too hard for you, that's for sure.
I told Phil to let you know some of the details, some of the stuff coming out.
Can you, I mean, from my side, I feel like, my whole world's gonna flip upside down again. Why is that? Why am I always getting held out of things? Like, why can't you just hit me with it?
I did, I told you.
I know, yeah.
Because this happened Monday.
No, you're saying you can't tell me all this stuff.
It's still an ongoing investigation, so you're not going to find out answers. I mean, there's just, that's the way it is.
Can you help me, throw me a bone and then go, I mean, she made it up, is that where we're going, right? Or is she trying to come up with a whole nother thing?
We're not going to give you any additional details. Obviously, you heard the questions, so you can read through some of those and understand. You've seen some of the photos, so you know some of the investigative work
obviously
we've
you saw me, I
done.
was like, yeah, we shot him.
And we did.
Yeah.
But you can also notice your reaction compared to her reaction.
Yeah. No, 100%. That's what I'm saying from my side, but now you're telling me, okay, you guys can go home now. Well, do you think I want her anywhere around the kids or around me at all at this point?
And again, we talked a lot. I don't know what the next stages of this are. That's why
it's not
that's
us
why
together. I get that.
whatever those decisions are, I don't know.
So probably we can all agree that she's not over there. Then obviously, if somebody can do something like that to their body and try to trick everybody, that they're probably not fit to.
It's 4 years ago.
We can't get into that, but I would say, obviously, we are concerned about the welfare. We don't want any kind of domestic dispute between you two. We also don't want.
So give me a quick not legal advice, give me from a sheriff. If I don't want her in my house tonight, what options do I have?
You have to get restraining orders. You have to get legal stuff.
I'm gonna tell her she has to go to her sister's. I mean, she's not going to my house tonight, and I got a call. The next stage of this, please give me the courtesy of telling me when you're gonna announce this, so I cannot be in my home.
Probably tonight.
Oh God, keep it going quick. Well, I thought you said it's ongoing now.
Well,
we have to.
We gotta talk about that, but
it's gonna happen quick.
I understand that. He was thinking tomorrow. I was like, okay,
He blew up everybody in LA. So there's a hornet's nest in LA.
Mm-hmm.
It only takes one person to go and say, hey, I know what actually happened. I want 10 grand. And now they run to LA News. It blows up without our control. So, and I don't know the strategy. We still have to we had to get through this before we can get there. But this.
Is there anything you can tell me? I thought you said you were going to tell me something when I came back in.
The person that we talked to down there is absolutely involved.
No, I know that.
Everything.
I know that.
So
I remember
that's
giving you guys that guy's number, so I thought.
So that's where we're at.
And then what did she say?
we're just gonna ask you to be patient. Let it play out. I know it's gonna be really hard, but it also makes it easier for you. The little kids aren't gonna ask you as much as the media will.
No,
and the family members, your own family members.
No,
and you can look at them with a straight face and say, look, they're not telling me yet.
But like, even Kettle right now, I was like, well, shoot, you guys can give her a ride in the house. I don't even want her in my car right now.
I don't know what Kettle said.
That's what he told me.
I'm assuming we could arrange for her to get there if that's what has to happen.
Because I need to make some call. If you're going to release it that soon, I'd like to call you.
I don't know what's gonna happen. I can call you today. I'm gonna go from this to another meeting, and that meeting's gonna lead to another meeting, and that meeting's gonna lead to another meeting, and then we'll be figuring stuff out.
Are you saying you want us to help you with transport for her?
I
get it back
think
to the
so.
house?
I don't think. I mean, you got to give me a couple. I thought you guys were going to call me back in here with her.
Well, she has to leave.
Oh.
She's free later if she wants.
So I think we'll talk, and she's probably not going to talk in here, so we'll probably go out to the car, and then I'll be like, I'm not going anywhere with you until
If you guys want to check out the car and come back up and tell us if you need assistance, let us know.
I appreciate that. I think I'm handling pretty good. I didn't punch any walls or nothing.
We appreciate that.
I'm in shock. Okay. Alright, thank you.
Keith's complete disassociation from Sherry, following proof being shown to him that she lied about her kidnapping, has struck many as being odd. But this is a man who spent the majority of his adult life in a relationship with her. He would have had to deal with the repercussions of her lies for years, with many of his friends and family being told that he is abusive, broke her jaw, and assaulted her multiple times. On some level, he knew that she was capable of doing this. And the moment he was shown evidence, he made the decision that was right for him and his children. He immediately filed for divorce and custody over their kids, and seems to be doing all right. Before Sherry was sentenced to 18 months in jail, she made this statement to the court. Your Honor, I stand before you, humbled by this court, truly honored and grateful you are allowing me to speak. I am so sorry to the many people who have suffered because of me, the people who sacrificed for the broken woman I was, the people who gave willingly to help me in a time that I so desperately needed help. Thank you all. I thank the government for allowing the opportunity for this plea agreement. I thank my attorney team for fighting for me. I thank the many people who are still willing to help me on my long road ahead. And I thank you, Your Honor. You've seen so much honor lately here in this room. People are not willing to walk through the shame and say that they are guilty. I am not one of them, Your Honor. I am guilty of lying. I am guilty of dishonor. I stand before you willing to accept, to repent, and to concede. I trust in this court. I trust the officers handling my release, and I trust you, Your Honor, to see me, to hear me. What was done cannot be undone. It can never be erased. I am not choosing to stay frozen like I was in 2016. I am choosing to commit to healing the parts of myself that were so very broken. I am choosing to humbly accept responsibility. Thank you, sincerely, thank you. This was after her attorney had argued that Sherry should only be sentenced to 1 month in prison, as her poor public reputation, quote, feels like enough of a life sentence, unquote. So, not really humbly accepting responsibility, mostly shirking it. But that is where we are today. If you like this video, be sure to click the like button as it helps our videos out immensely. If you like true crime content and would like to see more of our videos, subscribe and leave a comment letting us know what video you would like to see next. You can also email me at dreading.official@gmail.com with any other video suggestions or information. With that said, have a great day and remember, stay safe.
The story that the world thinks they know is that I am a master manipulator.
People. So
Sherry Papini is back in the headlines after last night's finale of her docuseries Sherry Papini Caught in the Lie that claims to tell her side of her infamous kidnapping turned hoax. It's been 3 years since she was convicted and sentenced to 18 months in prison for lying to federal agents about being kidnapped and defrauding people out of money. And now, Sherry is changing her story for the 3rd time, making wild new claims.
I remember waking up briefly in the back of the vehicle. And I just remember thinking, this is not where I'm supposed to be.
Papini now saying her 2016 abduction was very real after changing her story twice in previous...
What's up? Oh.
Admitting it was a hoax, she now claims the kidnapping was carried out by her former boyfriend, James Reyes, with whom she had an emotional affair.
I woke up in a room, naked, with boards on the windows. I wanted to leave, so I tried to.
I'm not going to bed yet. You think one pump's gonna leave without playing a game? Yep, hell yeah. Hell yeah, brother. I forget most of your nicknames. I give too many. It's weak.
To pull one of the boards off the window, and James came in and hit me in the face. And that's the first bruise that I got that you see on my eyebrow. That's when the chain was around my waist.
I have an emergency. There's a lady on the side of the road needing help. Please, please.
22 days later, on Thanksgiving Day, Sherry was found on the side of the road in chains, claiming she was abducted by 2 Hispanic women. When we spoke to her husband Keith last year for the Hulu documentary Perfect Wife, he said he knew something was off the moment he saw Sherry in the hospital.
When I pulled that curtain back, I looked at her, and the way she looked up at me, it was almost like, uh-oh. It wasn't until I got closer and then hugged her, and I felt her scabs all over her back. And I was almost upset with myself and disgusted that I even thought for a second that she could have had something to do with this.
It would take 3 years before investigators connected the DNA found on Sherry to Reyes, forcing her to admit the truth to police that her kidnapping was a hoax.
Sherry, the DNA doesn't lie.
Reyes had told police that Sherry claimed Keith was abusive and she needed his help. He also claims Sherry starved herself and asked him to injure her, something she now says is untrue.
How can you consent to that when you are being chained to a wall and starved?
Sherry took a lie detector test in hopes it would help prove her story, but leaves the audience with more questions than answers.
You admitted in the polygraph that you led James on.
Yeah, I would say I certainly did lead James on, yeah.
But that's not what you told us before.
Well, okay, there's this component of this, right? Of still feeling like it's all my fault.
Ooh, that's wild right there. James Reyes has denied all allegations and has never been charged in the case. All episodes of Sherry Papini Caught in the Lie are streaming right now on Max.
From deception to more drama, Sherry Papini, the Redding mother, convicted of lying to a federal agent after orchestrating a kidnapping hoax, now says she's the victim.
Papini sharing her version of what happened. Your reporter, Madison Keevee.
Haven't you ever lied? And then has that lie been blown up and broadcasted around the world?
Sherry Papini, what you've never heard before.
The phone, it dropped.
What she now claims actually happened. Her then husband speaking his truth.
I mean, essentially, you were the target of one of the biggest hoaxes perpetrated on America in years.
Next tonight, hear the desperate search for a missing mother in California.
Sherry Papini.
Sherry Papini.
Why did you lie? I didn't do anything wrong.
Right now, you're not telling the truth, which is doing something wrong.
Branding hockey pucks against her arms and legs.
I wish I could just say, I don't remember getting in the car. And you're trying to get there, and you're trying to get to this moment where I can't tell you.
There were definitely lots of people saying, oh, this is BS, an obvious hoax.
And now it all comes crumbling down.
This is very weird for me, because I know that you know everything about everything.
It's important to remember, there was no trial, so she's never spoken for herself.
The FBI said I made it all up.
I really challenge anybody, how truthful are you?
Oh.
Sherry Papini, world famous for her disappearing act in California in 2016. First, she claimed she'd been kidnapped and her captors had beaten, bound, and unbelievably branded her. Then she admitted she just made it all up. She pleaded guilty to lying to the FBI, and now, after prison, divorce, and public humiliation, she has something to say for herself in a new documentary. It's called Sherry Papini, Caught in the Lie, which premieres on May 26th on ID and streams on Max.
The Sherry Papini that's out there, it's not me. She's not real. It's just this version of me that has been created.
She's never spoken for herself. So what the public knows of Sherry is the interviews that she did, the police interrogations, where she is very actively misleading. She is very actively lying.
There's this version of the story of, oh, you're only talking now because you got caught. And also, thank God, it's about time.
How did it come to this? Well, it's kind of a strange story. It all began, naturally, with that once upon a time of crime, a 911 call.
911, what is your name? I just got home from work, and my wife wasn't there, which is unusual.
She was reported missing at about 5:30 p.m. on November 2nd.
Found her phone, and it's got like hair ripped out of it, like in the headphones. So I'm like totally freaking out, thinking like somebody grabbed her.
What's your wife's name?
Sherry, Sherri.
My name is Sergeant Kyle Wallace with the Shasta County Sheriff's Office. I was the lead investigator for the Sherry Papini investigation.
Okay, what's your last name?
Yeah, Papini, Papini.
And your first name?
Keith.
The whole Sherry Papini story was just a huge bombshell to this area.
The search is intensifying for a wife and mother who disappeared while jogging in Redding, California.
The briefing was, we have a lady that's out jogging, came up missing. Her husband came home not to find her, and the kids were still at daycare.
Sherry was last seen about a mile from her home in Mountain Gate.
Search teams are looking everywhere, trying to piece together what happened to Sherry Papini.
She is considered at risk due to the suspicious circumstances.
There was definitely a sense of fear. We just knew that a young woman had been taken somewhere near the I-5 freeway.
Her family suspecting something went terribly wrong.
Someone took our daughter, snatched her out of the thin air.
What does it feel like to have that thought that somebody has abducted your wife? Scared? I was scared.
Everything from day one had your hairs up on the back of your neck, just trying to figure out what was going on.
Sherry's disappearance was the start of a mystery that would grip the entire country as detectives searched for answers in the rural Northern California town of Redding.
Redding is unique. Northern California, 2 hours north of Sacramento.
Roughly 180,000 people that live in Shasta County, but half of those people live in Greater Redding area.
It's just a very get-her-done kind of
community that helps one another.
Sherry has been described as a super mom.
Yeah, she's always wanted to be home with her babies and to be an important role in their lives.
From everyone we talked to, Sherry, who was a stay-at-home mom, cherished her family life, doting on their 4-year-old son, Tyler, and their 2-year-old daughter, Violet.
I know my sister would never leave her children, never leave her babies.
They were a very nice couple, sweet young people.
She's just very kind-hearted and different from other girls that I have dated throughout the years. Just so down to earth.
Keith and Sherry's love story is really rather sweet. They shared a very electric first kiss in the 7th grade, and they stayed close and continued to communicate all through junior high.
We have a unique story. Years later, we kind of reconnected, and I remembered that I kept her notes that she wrote me. I took her out on a date, and I handed her a box, and of course it was like all our little love notes back and forth.
I mean, this is like a cosmic connection.
Yeah. No, like we were always meant to be, for sure.
For Keith, there was never anyone but Sherry. He knew he wanted to marry her, and he did in 2009. They later had 2 beautiful kids. They're all living together in the very same house where Keith grew up.
Their whole relationship has just been a storybook relationship. They do just very sweet things for one another.
Even her wedding photos. Looks like a celebrity wedding. Just so glamorous.
The cutest, prettiest couple.
We see these amazing family pictures, absolutely perfect. Everybody's so happy. That is an incredible, stark contrast to the anguish we saw from Keith in November of 2016.
Take me back to that day. It was a little cold in the morning, but it was a nice day. I went to work and I didn't get home until around 5 o'clock.
He just came home to an empty house, which was unusual for him.
I looked in a few different rooms and I couldn't find anybody. So I thought, okay, maybe they're outside. I looked around outside and couldn't find them.
He thinks they're just on a walk, but as time passes and they're still not home, started looking for his family.
And I called our daycare type place. First thing I said is, what time did Sherry pick up the kids today? And when she said, the kids are here, that was like, something is wrong.
Keith goes to the Find My Phone app and he starts to track where Sherry's iPhone is.
It's about a mile away, actually, near our mailbox. I wasn't looking for a phone, I was looking for Sherry. When I didn't find Sherry, I parked and I got out, and now I'm looking for a phone because it's saying it's here, it's here.
Keith was so smart. He took a picture of the phone when he found it because he thought it was weird, but he knew it was important, and he wanted to show it to the police.
Where exactly did Keith find Sherry's phone?
So the phone was found right near the intersection of Old Oregon Trail and Sunrise, just a short distance away.
I knew something was wrong. My first thing was somebody took her.
And that begins the search for Sherry Papini.
I said, there's not going to be a happy ending to this. I thought she's going to turn up dead.
A husband finds his wife's cell phone abandoned in
donor was set to remove the reward, he made a second video, essentially taunting the kidnappers and saying that because there is now an open reward for Sherry's return, and that the $50,000 reward had been up to a number that would make it so tempting that even, quote, the kidnappers' mothers would turn them in.
It is now 5 a.m. on November 23rd, and the ransom money for Sherry Papini is officially off the table for the individuals who abducted her. I'm sorry you didn't take advantage of this opportunity when you had the chance. I was your safest and your best option aside from just letting her go, which you can still do. As I stated in the media, the world has been looking for Sherry Papini, and now the world is going to be looking for you, whoever you are. That's not a threat. That's not something I even control. It's just a known fact when things are elevated to this level. I've said from the beginning that justice has not been mine to bring you. I was retained for one purpose and one purpose only, and that was to find a way for Sherry to come home. But now I want to talk to everybody else out there. Everybody watching this video and everyone listening. You know, the anonymous donor who came forward with the ransom money has been completely overwhelmed by how the media shared our unconventional approach to finding Sherry's abductors, and overwhelmed by the incredible response from the community. It was you, the community, that took this issue serious by viewing and sharing our video over 100,000 times in just a few days. Because of your efforts, we have no doubt that those who have Sherry saw our offer. So now what? What do? Well, there's an offer that's still on the table. The entire ransom money is going to be combined with the $50,000 reward that was previously posted for tips leading to Sherry's whereabouts. That's a six-figure reward, and it will be paid confidentially and in cash immediately if you help us to Sherry. No one will know who you are. No one's going to ask any questions. We don't care if you're a convicted felon, if you're a person with a warrant out for your arrest, or a drug addict. We don't care about your name or where you're from. No one will ask you any questions about your identity. And there are no cops involved. They've not been involved from the beginning with us. There are no strings attached to this cash offer. You lead us to Sherry, and we give you more cash than you can spend. The anonymous donor has already left the Redding area to be with his family for Thanksgiving, but he's made the funds readily accessible so that we can make an offer to the person who's willing to help us. We're not interested in leads from dreams or visions or people with special gifts. We only want to hear from the person who absolutely knows who took Sherry or where she is. I have no doubt that somebody other than the abductors knows who took Sherry. Whoever you are, do the right thing. Better your life by taking the cash, and better the Papini family's life by leading them to Sherry. You know, I can't tell you what's going to happen in the days ahead, but I do know that a family and a community are outraged by the situation. And when people unite for a greater good, they're unstoppable. One way or another, all the unknowns will be made known. And this family and this community will unite. And closure will be given. The number remains the same. 530-351-2748.
Cameron all but threatened the supposed kidnappers and told them the jig was up, which again, law enforcement who had worked with kidnapping and hostage cases heavily criticized, agitating someone who it believed to be dangerous, making them feel as if the walls were closing in, and that there is no way out is a surefire way to get them to make irrational, dangerous moves. But Cameron didn't care. His videos were going viral, and he registered his own website, CameronGamble.com, in order to profit.
Let's bring in Cameron Gamble, a self-described kidnap and ransom consultant. Tell us, first of all, how you got involved in this case.
Yeah, I was actually, I was out of town most of the time while Sherry was in captivity, but I was brought in by an individual who knew me in the community for speaking on specifically human trafficking a few years prior to this. She had called and asked, she was a mutual friend of the family, and asked if I could come in and just consult with the family and just kind of give my opinion as to what I thought had taken place.
I've covered far too many of these cases, and you really do get to a point you see with the families where they're willing to try anything, and you know, they tried various non-traditional approaches. Your name came up. This is what Sherry's husband Keith said about all that.
There was no idea or thought that if I think could work, that I was not going to try.
So what was your approach going to be? And did you find that Keith and that family members were skeptical that it could work?
You know, I really only talked to Keith about it. I didn't really speak to any of the other family members. And Keith, at that point, like he just said in the video, he was absolutely willing to try anything. And we felt like this could work because when you get to that point of desperation, you do try to do whatever might possibly work, and it did work out. But Keith was all for it at the very beginning. As a matter of fact, it was Keith who brought the kidnap for ransom idea to me via the individual who came forward with all the money.
Now, no money ever exchanged hands, correct?
That is correct.
So why do you think that this was at least part of the reason that she was released?
Well, if you just look at the timeline on this, there's a couple things going on here. One, I was the only one willing to go public and put my reputation on the line and call it for what I believed it was, which was an abduction. Alongside the family, they believed
you, brother.
What's up, bud?
How are your talk?
Good. Love you, brother. My buddy.
doing the exact same.
It was as well. So we released the first video. It goes viral on both on a social media side as well as just the media outlet. And then that was our point, was to get it to go viral, to show that there's an option here for these abductors. And then when the ransom wasn't taken up on, we gave them another option, and that was just let her go. You can just walk away from this. And if you don't, just so you're aware, there's a bounty now. And as I stated in the video, that's not something I control. It's not a threat. But we are willing to take all this ransom money and add it to the pot for those who can bring us to you, whoever you are. And then you have less than 24 hours later, these abductors just let her go.
Keith, Sherry Papini's husband, was obviously distraught during the time his wife was missing. I just want to play a little more of what he had to say to ABC.
He jumped up on the couch with me, and he knew something was up. And he said, "Dad, you can tell me anything." For a little 4-year-old to say that, I wasn't prepared for that. So I just said, "Son, you know, Mommy went running, and she didn't come home, and we're all looking for her right now." I don't think I ever lost hope, but it was eating away at me.
I had read some of the things, including that critics said you might be taking advantage of the family's grief. I wonder, how much pushback did you get, and did you ever waver on your thought that this could possibly move things in the right direction?
You know, there was definitely some pushback initially. It was obviously from the law enforcement side. They felt the approach was unconventional. My response was, when you're looking at a situation like this, the entire thing's unconventional, so a linear approach won't work. And obviously now the pushback is that I took advantage of a family. I'm not sure how. I was retained by not the family, but by the anonymous donor for $1. That dollar, when I bought the ransom phone, was donated to St. Jude's Children's Hospital. So there was no profiteering in this. And I'll tell you, I was reluctant to step into this. My wife had asked me multiple times, "Are you willing to do this? And do you want to offer your support?" And I said, "Not unless I'm asked." And it wasn't until I was asked that, even at that point, I said, "Okay, how can I get involved and offer some hope to Keith?" And it was at that point we had this conversation about what to do next.
Despite how terrible, uninformed, and dangerous his actions were, somehow they seemed to work, because on Thanksgiving morning, November 24th, 2016, Sherry was found alive. Sherry was found early Thanksgiving morning before the sun had risen. She had been bound and chained in a vehicle with a bag over her head, when suddenly her captor pushed her out of the car onto a street. Sherry then took the bag off of her head and realized she was outside for the first time in days. Sherry had no idea where she was and began running around looking for help. She ran towards what looked to be a house, but thought it looked uninviting, so she ran away. She then ran to a church and banged on the doors, trying to get someone's attention, but there was no one inside. She then ran onto the freeway, hoping that she would be able to get someone's attention. Multiple people saw her, including one woman who claimed that Sherry had almost jumped in front of the car, trying to get her to stop. The woman drove past, fearing that Sherry could have been dangerous. But once she was further up the road, she stopped her car and called the police, letting them know there was a woman on the freeway who looked panicked. A trucker also saw Sherry and called the police as well, verifying that she was there. The cops responded immediately, and Sherry was taken to the hospital in order to receive treatment. She had lost 15 pounds in the time she had been gone, bringing her down to around 85 pounds. Her long blonde hair had been cut haphazardly, and when she was picked up, she still had chains on her that needed to be cut off. She was wearing entirely different clothes than the ones she had been last seen in, except for her underwear, which had an unknown male's DNA on it. Her body was completely bruised, with multiple bruises in various stages of healing, layers on top of each other, showing that she had been beaten for days. And most frightening of all, she had been branded on her arm. Sherry was picked up and taken to the hospital early morning, and the cops immediately called Keith, informing him of her return. Keith, for some reason, was already awake, and according to him, was shaving when he got the call. He was shocked at her appearance when they were reunited, no longer seeing the vibrant, happy, beautiful woman she had always been, but an emaciated, frail stranger who had just gone through the worst thing imaginable. That day, the community had already planned to do a balloon release at the Papini home in order to keep the spirits up when it came to the situation, and let Sherry know, wherever she was, that they were looking for her. But before the balloons were released, she was found, and nothing would be the same again. When Sherry was returned, the police tried to speak to her about what she had gone through, but she was incredibly resistant to have anything to do with law enforcement. She stated that her abductors had alluded to law enforcement being directly involved with her kidnapping, and that while she was being held captive, they read her articles that stated that she had left voluntarily, which upset her. She stated that the kidnapper laughed at her and said, "No one believes you. Everyone thinks you ran away, so no one believes you. Guess what? The buyer's a cop. They are never going to find you," alluding to the fact that she would be sold into some kind of slavery. She then got upset when she noticed that the police were writing down her statements because she didn't want to speak to them, despite speaking to them. After she had recovered a bit, she came back and spoke to the investigators and told them how she had been kidnapped. While she was out on a run, a dark-colored SUV containing 2 Hispanic women drove past her, then stopped and reversed towards her, asking her for help. Sherry then approached the vehicle, and one of the women showed her a gun and told her to put the phone down, which Sherry did, accounting for how staged the phone on the ground appeared to be. They told her to get into the car and that they didn't want to kill her, but they they would if they had to. With that, Sherry got into the vehicle. Once inside, they wrapped something around her face, tased her, and then stripped her of all of her clothes, and then stated that she kept falling asleep, and she didn't remember anything besides the car now smelling like sewage. She went on to describe her two abductors in detail. As mentioned, they were two Hispanic women, one older and one younger. The older one was said to be really mean, while the young one seemed reluctantly involved, as if they were being forced into it. They both wore face masks and spoke primarily in Spanish, but Sherry was still able to get enough of a good look at them to provide a description to a sketch artist. According to her, the older one who was in charge was tall and fat, had long, dark hair with gray in it, and spoke in a raspy voice. The younger one had long brown curly hair and was a great deal shorter than the older one. Eventually, they brought Sherry to a small home where they kept her primarily in a closet. They had her chained to a metal pole that was located in the closet itself, but gave her enough slack to move around the closet and, in her own words, stay alive. She recalled that she would do yoga and Pilates at times, and when they provided her a bucket to do her business in, she asked if they could also get kitty litter as well, which they did. Sherry tried to get information as to why she was being held from them, and offered to clean and cook in order to get on their good side. They would rebuff any help from her and keep her in the closet. When asked for further details, Sherry went on and stated that the woman would play loud, annoying Mexican music all the time, and they would watch TV. She noted that the home was extremely cold, and they would put the fireplace on every night to combat this. Luckily, there had been no sexual abuse while she was in captivity, but there was physical abuse. Sherry stated that she was regularly hit by the old woman, but things weren't that bad until she attempted to run away. She didn't say how she managed to get out, but she tried to escape, and the woman brought her back in, struck her multiple times on the back, tied her to a table, and then branded her. They told her they did this because her buyer specifically liked his girl